I was born ready. I was born ready.
We've been waiting for years. Okay, I'm going to start.
Great.
I have been trying to get Bill on for years. This is not an exaggeration. It might be 4 years or so that I've been gently trying to get you on board. I know you're very busy, Emmy Award winning, AmigaBill, amazing work you've been doing. So you're very busy outside of Amiga world. So we know you have a busy schedule, but thank you for joining us. People are really excited, just the name of, bringing up your name, people support you. So I want to get to know you tonight more, everybody get to know you, and then we'll open up questions. I got to spend a lot of time with Anthony last year at VCF, and the whole weekend I spent time with Anthony, and he just instant Amiga brother. And he told me a lot of stories about you, growing up with you, the barn, your parents' house, all your Amigas, how you started. And that's where I want to kind of go back in time and talk a little bit about it. But before we start, can you please give us the Guru Meditation intro? I'm going to stay silent.
The Guru Meditation intro. Oh, that's a video. The Guru Meditation intro is a video. It's a whole video I play where there's like cool shots of Amigas and stuff, and I've kind of integrated it into my Twitch stream right now. Okay, and at the end of the Guru, I say, I always say like, oh, I say, we'll see. Anthony always says, I say, thanks everyone for watching. And Anthony says, we'll see you on the next episode of the Guru Meditation. So I know how to end it, but I don't remember how I started other than that video. Maybe. What's up, everyone? I'm AmigaBill. Come with me today when we check out a cool new thing for the Amiga called the Bifrost. There we go. I usually do something like that.
That's great.
I'm still waiting to do that Bifrost video. I'm sorry. We'll get into that, but I gotta make more Guru. I gotta make more YouTube videos. I've been focused on the streams.
Go on with that. Yeah. Tell us about Bifrost. Yeah.
Oh, the Bifrost. Oh, the Bifrost is super cool. It's an LED replacement for the Commodore Amiga 1200. So one of the cool things that I like to do with my Amiga, I'm a visual guy, so I like to make my Amiga like look good besides work good. And I like to do all modifications to it. I like to put it in a cool looking new case. I have like LED lights in mine. And one of the things I like to do is I use the Bifrost, and the Bifrost is a LED replacement for the power light, the floppy drive light, and the hard drive light. And you can program it to do all kinds of cool things. It's got like, you can make them all different colors. There's something like, it's basically like RGB, like 16 million colors. So you can have it do like all the lights, do something, be a different color than the stock colors. You can have it fade from like one side of the LED to the other. And you can also do some like really cool stuff, like have it access to PC MCIA port. So like if you're accessing that port, it can give you show that there's activity to that. So it's fun. It's a little bit useful, but it's more just fun customizing your Amiga, making it your own.
And who develops Bifrost?
It's just it's a one man operation. Connie Larson, yeah. Yep. He's a really nice guy. You can get him at you can get him online, or you can get it at like Amiga Germany. They have, every year he goes around to different Amiga shows and sells them there. But you can also get him online. Really good guy.
German?
What's that?
Is he German or is he American?
Neither. I think he's from Norway.
Oh,
but don't quote me on that. I think he's Northern European.
I should have said, is he Norwegian?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Sweden. Maybe Swedish. Maybe he might be from Sweden. Yeah. Oh. I see Sergey. I'm streaming this to my Twitch as well, and there's a lot of people from Europe tuning in, which is awesome because it's like really late there.
Is that where we're streaming right now?
Yeah, I'm streaming this meeting onto Twitch, twitch.tv/AmigaBill as well. That's where I do my Sunday Fun Day streams.
Okay, wonderful. I'm Dr. Obsoleto. Thank you, everybody, for attending the TPUG meeting. If you could please subscribe to our channel. We've got a YouTube channel. There's other meetings, great stuff on there, historical footage. Please support and support AmigaBill's channel. I love your Sunday Fun Day. I love Guru Meditation. I love your energy. I know other people love your energy. When exactly did you start Guru Meditation? What was the first date of broadcast?
Oh yeah, I'll get into that in 1 second, but I just want to get back to your YouTube channel really quick. Like one of my favorite retro videos of all time is when you guys took the pets and brought them to the coffee shop. I think that's like the best ever. Like forget the Guru video, they're cool. We do our best, but that is the best right there. I love that video. So everyone who's watching on my Twitch stream, make sure you go subscribe to the TPUG user group on YouTube, and you gotta watch that video. You're gonna love it. And it's a real honor to be here today because, like I said, I know you guys started like in the 70s. And I've, we'll get, I guess, into the whole user group thing, but I've been following you guys since I was like literally like a little kid. So it's an honor to be here today. And yeah, Guru Meditation YouTube channel is something that I started with my buddy Anthony. I think 2014, like April 2014 might have been our first video. It's been a while now. Oh, so wait, wow, 10-year anniversary. It's amazing. But Basically, Anthony Becker and we've been really close friends. We met at Westchester Amiga user group back when probably met in I bet we met in '88. That's about the right time. And I was in high school, he was in college, and we basically grew up together. And Anthony and I also, we love podcasts, we love TV, we love movies, and we just always thought about starting our own podcast, doing our own podcast or our own radio show. My dad taught radio production for many years, so I always loved radio. Just trying to do something creative. And obviously Amiga was like our favorite thing in the world. It's like, what if YouTube was getting popular? It's like, what if we do a YouTube channel about Amigas? And that's how it started. Like, yeah, like it was a good excuse too, because our Amigas were, it was kind of the resurgence of Amiga back in 2014. And we were still doing Westchester Amiga user group, but we wanted to take it a step further and do more projects. And it was a good excuse to like do something with our Amigas and hang out, which was like that's all we really wanted to do, is like hang out, let's mess around with a video camera, do some Amiga stuff, and maybe some other people would like to join in our shenanigans.
You know what? You guys have so much fun at the Westchester group, and it makes me think it'd be a good excuse to take a road trip to see you guys and attend a meeting.
It's coming up next August 3rd. We got one coming up, so you're welcome to join us.
Thank you.
Yeah, they want a link. Okay, the folks over on my Twitch would like to have a link to your YouTube channel. Can you put it? If you put it in this chat, I can put it over in my Twitch chat.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, we'll get that to you. So 2014, you started Guru Meditation. You and Anthony, right? Anthony, like I said, we hung out the whole weekend. He was telling me about your barn, and he said, "Yeah, there's still computers up there," and just the magicalness in his eyes. The way he talked about your childhood with him, it was, magical. And you guys really love these machines. So what was your first Amiga?
My first Amiga was the 500. I got it Christmas 1987. It was the situation. My first computer ever was an Atari 800, which I still love to this day. But and I had a Commodore 64, which I also loved the Commodore 64 very, very much. But like when you're a kid and you're looking at playing video games, you always want the arcade. To me, was like the gold standard. I love the arcade. I still love going to arcades, but as a kid, that's where my dad would take me on Saturdays, and he would take me there like Friday nights, and we just like hang out and play games. And the level, like the quality of the games were so good. My dream was to have that at home. And when the Amiga came out, I was like, wow, these are like arcade quality games at home, and I wanted one so bad. And then when the 500 came out, there was a whole video, like a VHS video that was promotional for it. And not only did it show like all the cool games like Defender of the Crown, but then it's like, oh, you can actually do video with this too. You can do sound with this too, and music. And then that was like really up my alley because I love video. I've been making home videos since like the late 70s, which I was an early adopter of video. And I was like, wow, this thing. So I could play really cool arcade games with the Amiga, but then I can also do my videos. So that's why I was really attracted to Amiga. Yeah, I got it Christmas 87.
Right? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, Chris, sorry. What was that? Christmas 87?
Christmas 87, yeah.
What was that about?
That's when I got the Amiga 500.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my first Amiga.
You could do Genlock, you could do chroma key, right? You can do text overlays, and suddenly you're doing video production, and then obviously the Johnny Carson show and et cetera, adopted the technology. So a lot of that you're seeing, on Johnny, we'll be right back.
Hmm.
Right? They're using this
Yeah.
beautiful machine.
Well, you know what it is? Like the Amiga was the first home computer that like brought that to the masses, because until then you needed $120,000 worth of video equipment in ABC studios in order to be able to do the Cryon, as they called it, or the Genlock. So it's but now once the Amiga came out and you had the Genlock and you had a chroma key, like that's just mind blowing that you could actually do this stuff at home for like a fraction, a small percentage of the cost. And then the toaster took it even a step further, but I didn't have a toaster back then. I always wanted one. But I had the Genlock and I had the chroma key, and I was rocking it out. Titles, special effects, 3D modeling and rendering. I had the coolest videos in high school, thanks to
I
the
bet.
Amiga.
I bet. I bet that really set your path forward in the kind of work that you're doing now with your
Hmm.
feature films and documentaries. Um, were you using Hollywood Producer on the 500?
No, what I would did was I would use Deluxe Paint 3, and Deluxe Paint 3 was the first version of Deluxe Paint that had animation.
Mm.
So I would do all the titles in Deluxe Paint 3. I would use Imagine, which was a 3D modeling and rendering program, to do all my 3D graphics. And those were like the two main ones. I'd also use Art Department Professional to and ScanLab 100. I would scan photos with my JX100 scanner, and then bring them in to Ad Pro, Art Department Professional. Make them look good, but turn them into black and white or retouch them. Bring them into Deluxe Paint and retouch them, and then I would bring them into a program called Scala, which was like a multimedia presentation tool. It's basically PowerPoint before PowerPoint, and I would do all my like reports for school that way. And then video wise, I would record everything out to a VHS tape, and then I would use AB roll, they called it AB roll editing. So you have you essentially have two VCRs that are locked together, and you take one starts playing, one plays while the other one records. AB roll recording, and you could edit that way. It's like hooking up two VCRs and doing the edit. But it's just it was a little more professional way to do it.
So you developed a process using this computer. 1 minute you're playing a game with it, the next you're video editing, and it's different than, did I hear you say Atari 800? You said it
Yeah.
really quickly.
Yep.
So I kind of had to, ask you about that. I know it's all Amiga, but you did drop the other A word.
I love my 800. I love it so much. It's my first computer. And the cool thing about the 800 that, I mean, you guys probably know, but a lot of people don't know, is that I consider the 800 the original Amiga, because there were guys like Jay Miner, the father of the Amiga. He was one of the designers of the Atari 800. And then after guys like him and Joe DeCure did the 800, they went on to the Amiga 1000. So in my opinion, the Atari 800 was like the first Amiga. It was a precursor to the Amiga, and it had things like with the GITA chip, the Pokey chip, similar to how the Amiga has got Fat Agnes and Denise and Paula. So the using custom chips was starting there in the Atari, and then they moved that over to Amiga. So I love that was also a computer with a soul. Jay Miner was the best. I love that Atari 800. That I still love it to this day.
Yeah, we have something else in common. I have an 800. I bought it from somebody who owned it for 40 years. And it always stayed in one family, so it's in good condition. Yeah, it's a great machine.
Yeah.
So about 87. Now, you said something about Commodore 64.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I had a
Yeah.
64 as well. I love the 64. I'm lucky that I was able to have so many computers back then, because it was pretty rare. But my dad, that was his passion as well, so that's why I had them. He was on my team, so he probably used me as an excuse. Oh yeah, we got the kid likes the computer. Let's get him. Let's get the kid a computer. Meanwhile, like he was all psyched about the computer too.
What were you doing with the 64 back in the day?
64 I was using for games. I was just using the 64 for games. I messed around with Geos a little bit. Uh, I did some basic programming on the 64. I learned how to program. I did basic on both the Atari and the 64, but I did basic on the 64 a lot. But mainly it was for games. I was playing Skate or Die. I was every day.
Wow. Any programming on the 64?
Yeah, just basic. I'm not a big programmer, but I did like to program in basic when I was a kid. And I made a I guess my two claims to fame, my main claim to fame is I made a rock identification program, because when I was in class in high school, we had a way you could identify what type of rock you had, and basically it was just a series of like if then questions, like look at your rock, and if it has these characteristics, then it could be in this family, and then if it has these characteristics, you keep it could be in this family, and you keep narrowing it down. So that was an easy way to learn basic programming, because it was essentially all if then statements. And that's so I made a rock identification program on my 64 that was it was useful. It was useful. Like we used it in class. It was great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
The 64 is a special machine. Do you get to use it at all these days, or you?
Oh yeah. I most of my retro computing is dominated by Amiga, because I do the streams every week, and it's my main retro machine. But I still use the 64 a lot. I love the 64. The 64 scene is really cool. There's some really cool new games coming out for the 64. I haven't done any like productivity with the 64 recently, but I played some of the new games that have come out for it, like Sam's Journey and Zeta Wing. I love Zeta Wing. Sarah Jane Avery, she's awesome. I got to play my man Hazemaker's new game. He just made a new game for it too. So the 64 community is really cool, and the SID chip, needless to say, the SID chip is magical. I have friends who do a lot of music with the SID chip, and I love listening to their music on the 64 with the real SID chip. I even have this. Someone made this like breakout box where you can take a real SID chip, put it onto this little board, and then it's got a USB connector. You can plug the USB connector into your PC, and this way, if you emulate the 64 on your PC with like C64 Ever or Vice, you can actually output the sounds to that board, and then you're actually getting SID sounds instead of it being simulated in the emulator, which is really neat.
Wait.
Yeah.
About going back to Amiga. I mean, yeah, I could talk about Commodore all day. Amiga. What are your thoughts about the Raspberry Pi support?
Oh, the
Amiga,
Raspberry Pi, it's awesome. I mean, there's two ways.
Amiga,
Yeah.
Berry. Any thoughts?
Love them. I absolutely love them. They're different. There's a few implementations of Raspberry Pi with Amiga. There's probably more, but the ones that come to mind are, you mentioned like Amiga and AmiBerry and AmiKit X. AmiBerry is essentially the core. It's like the emulator. It's like WinUAE that's been ported over to the ARM. And it's the engine for a lot of these emulators. So I have a dedicated Raspberry Pi, like right over there. It looks like this is it. Actually, I'll bring it over. This is it. There's actually a Raspberry Pi in here. So it looks like an Amiga, but it's actually a Raspberry Pi inside. Yeah, it's if I take off the hood, there's a Pi inside.
That looks.
I don't know how to do it on the Google Meet. How to make whoever's talking.
Case. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So there's the Pi in there. I gotta make this a little bit the wires a little bit. I gotta tidy that up a little bit. But yeah, it's awesome.
You made that?
Well, I mean, I assembled it. I don't want to take credit for making it. I got this case from a1200.net. They make new Amiga cases, and then I mounted the Raspberry Pi inside of it. And then I was super lucky, because there was these guys, Amiga on the Lake and Kipper 2K, who made these replacement keyboards, and they just did a small run of them because it was really hard for them to produce them. And I was lucky. I got in. I think I'm like number 82 or something like that. I think maybe they made it to 100. So I just got in time. And it's got a ZIF connector on it, so you can use it in a real Amiga, or it's got a USB connector, and that's the key, because the USB connector lets me hook it up to the Pi. So I feel like I'm using a real Amiga. And then when you have a standalone Raspberry Pi like that's a Pi 4. You've got options like Amiga. You got options like AmiKit X, which are like, those are both like AmiBerry is their engine, but they just push it to like a whole new level. They use Scalos, which is like a advanced workbench environment, and it's wild to have an Amiga like that fast, because the Pi just like blows away even like the 060. But then
go ahead, sir.
But then you can also put a Raspberry Pi in a real Amiga. So this one, that's just like a standalone Raspberry Pi. You can get like a Pi 400, or you can just put a keyboard into that little guy if you don't have the case and everything. But then if you have a real Amiga, you can get something called a Pi Storm, and that's a Raspberry Pi that goes into the trapdoor slot slot on the 1200, and that supercharges your Amiga 1200. So you're actually using a real Amiga that integrates with the Raspberry Pi. That's very, very popular. A lot of folks are doing that now. And then there's like, I've got a Raspberry Pi Zero inside that Amiga 500 over there. And the only thing it does is it's just for the output. So it'll let you still have your Amiga RGB out, but then it also gives you an HDMI out as well. So like Raspberry Pi is it's being used a lot in the Amiga community.
Cool.
You can use it standalone, integrate it into the real 1200. Yeah, it's awesome.
That's cool, Bill. I actually have a stack of Raspberry Pi Zero sitting around gathering dust, and I need to find out a way to use them. I've got a Frankenstein project, but this is a cool idea, for the HDMI out.
Yeah. I think there's more. I think people are coming up with more stuff to do with the Pi and their Amiga as well, but who knows? It's a very versatile little device. So yeah, but it's called RGB to HDMI, and it's really good. The quality, the output quality is amazing. What's up, everyone in chat? Appreciate all my Twitch folks there. Yo, that's all rule. Yeah, if you're just watching, I'm joining the TPUG meeting. TPUG is the I'm gonna go out and say they're the oldest Commodore club in the world. And if they're not, they're definitely one of the oldest.
Thank you,
longest running.
Bill.
Yeah, you guys rock.
Well, you rock, and I know a lot of people want to hear from the Bill. So we were talking about games, and I wanted to know what are some top new Amiga games, new guys that have come out, or gals, anything we should be aware of, because people said, people were asking me, what are you going to ask Bill about? And I thought, I want to know what are his top games, because you're always showcasing new games. Honestly, bro, I can't keep up. I mean, I gotta go back in deep into your channel when I get some time and just write some of these down. But any thoughts about new games that we should be aware of?
That's an easy question and a hard question because there's so many of them. It's great. I think last year over 60 games came out for the Amiga, and there's different levels of games. There's like basically PD level games. There's like remakes of classic games, and there's brand new games that just came out. And yeah, so the list is very, very long. But I'll just talk about the ones I have right here because I happen to have them right here. That's great. I'm glad you asked, Doctor. This one is fantastic. This one is called Rogue Declan. I don't know how if I make myself the presenter, but can I click on myself? Yeah, how do I do it? If I go like this, calls open to anyone, being recorded, transcribed. Okay, I don't know how to. Now I gotta exit my full screen here. Escape. Yeah, see, D Mackey knows what's up. That's my boy right there, D Mackey.
What's up, man?
Pin, apply visual, more options. Can I minimize? No, I don't want to minimize. I don't want to do it weird. If I go. I don't want to present because you should be presenting. All right, you guys get it. Anyway, so this is Rogue Deck.
Override and present. Override and present. Don't worry.
All right, let's see. If I go like this, I can. Nope, don't want to share it. I want to present. Present now. Oh yeah, I do. I want to present. Oh, interesting. Let's go to. What do I present? How do I present myself? Entire screen. No, I just want. It's weird. I just want to click on myself and make myself bigger. And then when you talk, you can be bigger. That's okay. This is Rogue Declan. It's by a gentleman named Nivrig. He's in Ireland, and it's a really cool, like dungeon-esque game. It will work with keyboard or like joystick and keyboard or single joystick, but it's really cool because it also supports dual joystick, which is really, really fun. I love Rogue Declan. It's a fantastic game. This one just blows my mind. This is like the newest one I just got. It's called Seekanoid by Hoffman, and it's so funny. Seekanoid is actually a PC game that came out a couple of years ago, and the PC game is done in kind of like the 8-bit ZX Spectrum style. It's black, white, and red. It's a very simplistic color palette, but it's a super fun game. D Mackey knows what's up down there, and so but Hoffman's like, this game is a PC game. I don't know how many gigs it requires, but it's like, it's a PC game trying to look like an old 8-bit game. I bet I can do this game on the Amiga. And sure enough, he did. It's just as good or better than the PC version, and it fits on an 880 kilobyte floppy disk. and the soundtrack is just insane. And it comes. Oh, that's the other thing too, is there's so many cool like physical copies of stuff. Like the Rogue Declan, this is distributed by Polyplay, and it comes with all kinds of fun stuff. It comes with a little sword. It comes with floppy disk. It comes with all kinds of like cool stuff that makes the physical edition special. Yeah, so and actually the box itself is really nice. It comes with like a micro SD card, so you can pop that sucker into your emulator, pop it into your Raspberry Pi. It comes with a manual. We got what's in here? I even forgot what's in this one. Yeah, I think this is the floppy. Oh yeah, this is the floppy disk. It's a floppy disk and a little sword. But it's like really well done. Like these physical releases that are coming out for Amiga are they're incredible. Like they're really incredible. So yeah, Rogue Declan, Seekanoid has got the same thing. It's got the game in it, so you can pop it into a CD32. It's got a black floppy disk in there. It's got a CD. A lot of these games have amazing soundtracks. Team Mackie knows what's up. They have amazing soundtracks, and they come with CDs as well. So yeah, here's like Seekanoid, and you can see it comes with. Oh, dude, I love this black floppy disk. It's so good. It's phenomenal. And then it comes with the CD in here as well, so you can listen in your car, or capture it and make it into an MP3 or FLAC, whatever your choice is. So yeah, I recommend Rogue Declan. I recommend Seekanoid. But I'm not done. I could go on for a long time. Then I also let's go down here. I got D Mackie. We go in Via. We go Reshoot Proxima 3 here. We go Reshooter.
He's trying to
there's just too many. There's too many. There's too many, but I'll just show you a couple here. This is a Reshooter by Richard Lowenstein. It's an absolute great shoot 'em up. Yeah, it's a side scrolling shooter like a Project X. It's fantastic if you love arcade shooters. And then there's a sequel called Reshoot Proxima 3. Richard took his world and he turned it 90 degrees. So this is a vertical shooter. It's amazing. I think I even like the Reshoot Proxima 3 better because it's a more like refined game. These two are both Amiga 1200 games, and both have great soundtracks by Martin Amann. Really great soundtracks. This is, as D Mackie was showing you, this is in Via. And the thing that's amazing about this, it's also a side-scrolling shooting game. I love arcade type games. So this is a side-scrolling shooter like a Project X as well. But it's really cool because it runs on an Amiga 500 as well. So there's a lot of games that are, AGA, which is the advanced. Yeah, see there, D Mackie's got the poster. Oh yeah, D Mackie's got the poster. I love it. And then this one, I'll mention this one too because this is from Mutation Software, Cyberpunks 2. This one's neat, and I make a cameo in the game. It's the first time I was ever in a game. I make a cameo. Cool. That your first mission is to rescue me. So big shout out to 8. It's called Cyberpunks 2. Cyberpunks 2. It's a top-down adventure game. Think of like Chaos Engine or Alien Breed, that style. And mission 1 is to rescue me. And what's that?
For the 2000?
This works. This is an AGA game. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is AGA. Well, maybe is it? Yeah, 2 megs AGA. Yes. So you need a 1200 or 4000, or emulator. And the other thing I love about this game is that it brings the community into it. So like the 3 characters that you play, these are all based on people in the community. So that's like Tony Askins, that's Roarthorn, and that's Moya Amiga Cami. So it's really cool that he integrated that, and it's a really fun game. It's a sequel to a game that he made a long time ago called Cyberpunks. Surprise, surprise. So yeah, those are some good ones. There's more too. There's people who are doing like remakes. There's a guy named JOTD, or ports, should I say. He's like doing arcade perfect ports because sometimes back in the day the Amiga got some really bad ports. So he ported. Oh man, I love his Ms. Pac-Man. It's fantastic. His Pac-Man's fantastic. Wow. He's doing Galaga now, which is amazing. Ooh. There's another guy named Dante who's doing Castlevania. It's like this amazing version of Castlevania. And there's so much good stuff. And lots of folks on the itch.io. It's like a site for indie game developers. You can go onto itch.io and search Amiga, and there's so many really cool games there that you can buy. And it's like a lot of them are free, and then some are just like, oh, if you like the game, throw me a buck. It's amazing. Most of them are on itch.
That's awesome. I gotta play the game that you're in.
You got to.
Yeah, I've got the Primiga. I'll be able to load it on.
There's another one called Boom. It was the cover disc on an Amiga It's on a Amiga magazine, Amiga Addict magazine. It was the cover disc, and you can actually play as me. There, D-Mac, he's got it. He's got the floppy right there. There was one of my viewers decided to
Oh,
make a
okay.
game with me as a character, which is hilarious. And again, he
Can I
brought
play that?
the
Can I
community
play
into it.
that on the 500?
Yeah. Oh wait, Boom Boom is Scorpion engine, so no, you can't play on the 500, but you can play it on your emulator.
Okay.
Oh, Fishbot, yeah, Worthy. Worthy is another great one. Yeah, Worthy is another great game. It's a single screen game. It's got a lot of puzzles in it. There's some arcade aspects to it as well, but it's a puzzle game. It's fantastic. That's a good one. That's a good one, Fishbot. Thanks. There's so many good ones.
Where?
It's hard.
Where? Okay, I know. No. Thank you. You're very passionate, obviously, and you got the. I see your library of software titles over there. It runs
Oh
deep.
yeah.
I'm just
It's
looking. You only got to the edge there, but we've got like, gosh, I mean, maybe 50 titles more, 50 other
There's a lot
boxes,
there.
right?
Most of them are
Where?
new stuff. Most of it's new too, because like I don't have a lot of. It's unfortunately like a lot of the boxes, my game boxes from when I was a kid, like they're gone. I have a couple there. I've got my Out of This World, and I got my art department there, my Morph Plus. But most of the games that I had back then are unfortunately gone. So most of those are new games, which is pretty really
By the
cool.
way, I love the Empire Strikes Back visuals up there.
Thanks.
Awesome.
That's my
I
AT8. That's a AT-AT from the 80s. I cleaned it up.
love,
I got a Castle Grayskull up there and a Voltron.
love
I dug him out of the barn. I dug him out of the barn, Doc.
I love that. I love the Empire Strikes Back. Let me ask you this: where does Doom figure into your pantheon of games?
Doom, the original Doom.
Doom or Amiga Doom?
Okay, Doom. Doom is oh you don't okay, but Doom's it's definitely like a little bit of a sad story when it comes to Amiga because Doom came out towards the end of the Amiga's lifespan, and I think the Retro Hour, if I'm not mistaken, they did an episode where like Doom killed the Amiga, right? Because back then, people said, oh, the Amiga can't do Doom, and people were getting into 3D, and I love Doom. I thought it was great, but Doom was definitely one of the games that began my transition to PC. Like, I never left Amiga, obviously, but I never really cared about PC until later on when when they started to become more powerful, and Doom was one of the first games I played on the PC, and I was like, oh wow, this is good. So I mean, Doom, how can you not love Doom? I think it's fantastic. I love first person shooters. It definitely is one of the most important games to ever come out. And one of the cool things, like we had first person like Wolfenstein and Doom type games back then. I didn't get that into them because I had a PC. I'll just play Doom. And the Amiga ones were okay. But now we've got a new one coming out called Grind, which is incredible. It's like, what if people like really focused their time and effort and skills on making a Doom for the Amiga, and they're doing it now. It's in development. I'm like on their Patreon, and they just dropped a new. Actually, just dropped a new demo of it. I'll probably play it this Sunday. And let me tell you, it is incredible, and it works on Amiga 500. It plays better on a 1200, but it works on a 500 too. Oh man, it's wild. So it's one of the coolest things that's coming out for the
Okay,
Amiga in the next
I
couple
want to
of
support
years.
these guys because I have my Amiga 500 up and running. I've given it dedicated space next to my 64. 64 is getting jealous now, but
You want to get Grind? You want to get the demo of Grind, and you want to get the demo of Metro Siege. Your mind will be blown. Like
please.
these folks are doing things with the Amiga that you can't even imagine. Yeah, you're gonna get, yeah, you're gonna want it. You're gonna want the Seekanoid. You're gonna want Grind demo. You're gonna want Metro Siege. And when those games comes out, it's just gonna be
Okay,
like mind blowing.
yeah, that'd be
Oh,
cool.
Invia is a 500 game as well. It'll work on your 500. So
Sweet. Yeah, just send the
yeah,
deets.
what's up,
Yeah.
Amiga Cammy? There she is. See, Amiga Cammy. So she's one of the characters here on Cyberpunks too. Also a
Okay.
legend of the community. She gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch Sunday Funday. It's Monday morning for her. She's on the other side of the world.
Where are they from? These new
Oh,
Doom makers.
the Doom makers is John Chuck Harris he's from Greece. Alex Brown is
Opa.
Australian. So it's an international effort.
Opa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been kind of titling this night Amiga Past, Present, and Future.
Mm.
you know, because I've been meditating on the Guru meditation this week, thinking about what I
Excellent.
wanted to ask you, meditating and thinking past, present, and future. You know, that you are one of the few guys that I know I can turn to talk about where we've been and where stuff is now, you know, and how people can access the technology, you know, barrier entry. Can they get it by picking up the hardware, or do they get through with the emulator, you know, or is it just that the people that are the long-term users support the emulation? How do people get in?
That's a great question. Doc, I'm just excited because I figured out how to make you full screen, so I'm psyched. If I click on me, do I get full screen? I don't know. I don't know how it works. I get maybe not, but I'm glad you're full screen there, Doc. Yeah. So barrier to entry. That's a really great question because Amiga hardware is actually very expensive and it's getting more expensive like every day. So I think emulation is a great way to get started with Amiga. And there's two that are very easy to do. First of all, you can go to amigalive.com and there's a bunch of games on there that you can just start playing right away. The cool thing about Amiga Live, it's a great community effort. It uses an emulator called FSUAE, and it's got a mode where you can basically you can play online multiplayer Amiga games. So it simulates as if two people are sitting together at an Amiga, which is really amazing. And so you could I could be here in New York, you guys could be in Toronto, and we could play against each other. Or I could be in New York and I get my friends in Europe, I could play with them. It's incredible. But you don't have to be online. You don't have to like have anyone to play with. You can play single player as well. So Amiga Live is a great very brief intro to some of the Amiga's catalog. Another great way to get introduced to it is with something called Amiga Forever. It's something you can download and run on Windows, and that's really fantastic as well. It's a very easy way. There's environments that are already set up for you. You can get a taste that way. And then I think the A500 Mini. I can go get my A500 Mini. That's also a great way to get into Amiga. It's a miniature
Yeah.
Amiga 500.
Hey, Bill, you want to hear a funny story? Yeah,
Yeah, I do.
please get it, and I'm going to set up the story for you.
Oh, okay, great.
Um, uh, the Amiga 500 Mini. I brought it to Chicago last year, and Bill Hurd signed it, and he's
That's
like,
funny. Not the Amiga
I
guy.
think, he's like, bro, I had nothing to do with the 500. I go, I know, Bill. I don't care. I just want you to sign it. And he signed it in memory of his friend who developed the 500, who passed away.
Dave Needle,
And
maybe?
what's that?
Maybe Dave Needle?
No.
No.
Um,
Oh, George Robbins. He said George Robbins should have
no.
born. No?
No.
But that's really
I'll have
beautiful.
to recall, I'll have to look at that, but he says in memory of Gab or something. It was a short kind of name. And so he developed the 500. So he signed it along with Jerry Ellsworth.
Oh,
And,
she's great. I love Jerry.
but I love that little mini. It's a cute little thing, isn't it? Isn't it cute?
It's
Just
amazing.
looking
I
at it.
love it. I love it. You want me? I can get it if you want.
Please, please, let's talk about the mini.
Okay.
We're talking to Amiga Bill. Thank you for joining the TPUG meeting. You guys remember to subscribe to the channel. He's getting his Amiga 500 Mini, which I'm glad that when I got mine, I updated the firmware. Mackie, do you have one? No? Okay. Well, it's a cute little machine, and it's surprising. It scratches the itch a little bit. Yeah, so I updated the firmware on that.
Yeah, so this is the A500 Mini. It's a beautiful little device. Soon there'll be a full-size Amiga console, whatever that means. But by my guess, they are gonna make it's how they had the C64 Mini and then they had like a full-size 64. My guess is they're gonna come out with a full-size Amiga with a working keyboard, but I don't know. That's just my guess. But this is the A500 Mini. It's a brilliant design. It really looks like an A500. The lights work, which is really neat. the floppy drive doesn't work, but people have done some hacks to put some fun stuff in there. It comes with a really cool USB tank mouse and a USB. It's got a USB tank mouse,
Yeah,
and it
it's
comes with
impressive,
a
that
USB.
mouse.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the USB controller. It's like a CD32 style controller with a D-pad. And yeah, I really like this A500 Mini. It comes, out of the box. It comes with 25 games, which that's slim, but that's fine. That's what they got the rights to. But the cool thing is that you can load onto it something called the Amiga Game Selector and something else called Pandora. With the Amiga Game Selector, you basically get every single game ever made for the Amiga. It's like you put it on a USB
I
stick.
put on Pandora. I put on
Pandora is
Pandora on
fantastic.
mine. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah, Pandora is
Aminet
amazing.
and Aminet.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
And
a flexible machine. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I love it. And if you're, it's cool. Like if you want to get the Mini, I definitely support that decision.
Right.
But there in theory, there's going to be a full size one coming out by the end of the year. So we'll see. I don't know what they mean by console. To me, that's a little weird. To me, console means CD32, or CD-TV. But I think it's going to be. If you look at the history of retro games, they had the Mini Commodore 64 and then the 64, the one with the keyboard. So I think they're going to do some kind of Amiga computer with a keyboard. That's what I think they're going to do. We'll see. Who knows?
So, Bill, what do you think about all this FPGA hype and advancements in trying to preserve the technology and rebuild the architecture with FPGA? Do you have strong opinions about this
Oh,
field
I
day?
think it's awesome. Yeah, no, I think it's awesome because the no one's making new fat Agnes chips anymore. No one's making new actual Amigas anymore. So I think FPGA is definitely like a step in the right direction. I've got something called the Mister, which is phenomenal. And so basically, the way it works is you have, like the A500 Mini is software emulation. It's emulating an Amiga through software, and then the FPGA. I'm not gonna say it's hardware. It's hardware implementation, right? But there's a whole debate about that. But essentially, it's like it feels a little bit more authentic than a software emulator, in my opinion. So you can load Amiga onto your Mister, and it really feels like you're using a real Amiga. It's quite impressive, and you can also load like arcade cores onto it. Then there's also something else called Vampire, which kind of took the Amiga community by storm as well. That's an
Whoa.
FPGA, and that one is like, it's all based on Motorola 68K architecture. So they're like, what if the last 68K chip for the Amiga was an 060? That was the fastest they got to. Then they did like PowerPC. I don't know you could do, but that was like the last 68K chip you could get to. And then these guys are like, the Vampire team, Apollo team, is like, what if we had an 080? So that's what the Vampire V4 is all about. So you can put one inside an Amiga, and it's a Vampire, right? So you basically use your Amiga as like a keyboard, and an input device, or you can get a standalone Vampire, which is what I have, and that's fun too. And I'm really excited because one of my friends, Proton from the demo group Finish Gold, he's making. He just made like two new demos, like specifically for the Vampire, which I'm psyched. I'll show you, D Mackey. I'll show you that on Sunday. It's gonna be awesome. And then so folks are they made I guess Space Invaders, they call them Apollo Invaders, which is cool. So it's like, what if the Amiga had an 080 chip in it, and they have more advanced graphics too. They called it SAGA. I think it's called like Super AGA. So more advanced graphics after the last Amiga graphics. So it's fun. It's cool.
Oh, I've heard that there's some great FPGA work being done in Germany by a gentleman who started the Vampire. From
Yeah.
what I understand, he's doing
Yep.
this new generation of gate array. Very impressive. The Vampire, I got to see that under the hood at the conference like 4 years ago in Chicago. My buddy brought an Amiga 600, and he had that Oh my God.
Yeah.
He was running Doom on it with the
Yeah.
Vampire, and he was running a telecommunication software as well, connecting it to the internet, and so
It's cool. It's different. It's cool to have a lot of options. The Vampire kind of took the Amiga world by storm. It was like one of the first FPGAs and, first like modern fast device that you could put into your Amiga. Now, like we talked about the Raspberry Pi before, now the Raspberry Pi is a very viable option as well. But like I said, it's different because that's software emulation. and the Vampire is kind of like what if we had, you know, an 080 with SAGA graphics. So it's just cool to have a lot of options, and you can choose which one you like or choose them all.
A lot of options.
Yeah.
And with regard to Workbench, do you have any preferences? 1.2, 1.3?
Oh, I mean, nothing gets my juices flowing like good old 1.3. You know, I love the
Yeah.
blue and the orange and the white. That's my favorite. But the you know, on my 1200, I stick. Well, you know, on my 1200, I actually have 3.1.4 right now. I also have 3.2, which is cool. So yeah, for me, it's like 1.3 or, you know, Workbench 3x, 1.3 or 3.2, essentially. There's obviously a lot of advantages. It's cool. It's I mean, how amazing is it that the Amiga Workbench 3 was updated for the first time in over 25 years, whatever it was. Amazing. 30 years. I don't know. I forgot when 3 came out sometime in the 90s, but it's just amazing that it was recently updated. That shows how strong the community is and how much there's a demand for it. So I'm either a 1.3 guy or a 3.2 guy.
And as far as the new Amiga OS that's out, any particular thoughts?
Oh, there's a lot of new Amiga OSs. You have, you know, you've got OS 4, you know, which is kind of like the unofficial official next generation Amiga that runs on PowerPC. You got Morph OS, which a lot of people feel that Morph OS is like the true successor
Mhm.
to Workbench. Then you got Aros, which isn't
Aros.
dependent on you know, the ROMs that are owned by Clianto. That's interesting, and people are doing interesting stuff with Aros. Right now, there's a new Workbench environment called AmiBench that was just developed by AmigaKit and Aeon. I haven't had time to play with it. I haven't been able to play with it yet. I pre-ordered. It's another new Amiga device that's coming out, so I ordered one to show to everyone, and I haven't gotten it yet. I'm on the list, but they'll get to me eventually. So there's that. So yeah, there's a lot of flavors of new Amiga. There's Apollo OS, which is the Vampire's version as their fork of Aros. So there's Apollo OS. There's and then you have new Workbench environments, kind of like the Scalos, like Chris Edwards was Pymiga, like he's heavily customized his Workbench environment with Scalos, and it's really cool. And then you got like AmiKit X. These are kind of like what if you had the ultimate Amiga. So there's a lot of options. You got the OS 4, you got the AmiKit, the Pymiga, the Morph OS. You got the Apollo OS. You got the AmiBench. You got a lot of options. They got a lot of ways to enjoy Amiga.
And are any of these operating systems, the new ones, can you run them on the old hardware? You know?
Yeah, well, the 3.2 you can. The new version of Amiga OS 3.2 you can.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then the like OS 4 and Morph OS, those are PowerPC based. PowerPC based. So yeah, but the like the AmiBench it's based on emulation, so it's based on AmiBerry. So that's AmiBerry and Aros, and then the Apollo OS is for the Vampire.
Which operating system are you using regularly, or are you experimenting with different ones, depending on your time commitments? Or
I use them all. I use them all. It just depends on which machine I'm using, essentially. Like on my real Amiga, I got 3.1.4. I do have 3.2 as well. I've installed it on an emulator, but I haven't put a 3.2 in here because you know what? When it comes to Amiga, if it's working, you don't want to change too much. And there's a lot on the line on these. I don't
yeah,
like. It's so hard to get streams to work. It's so hard to get streams to work that I'm this girl's stable. Like I can count on her. So I'm not messing with her until if I'm like, all right, maybe I'm not going to stream next week, then maybe I'll throw it into 3.2. But I'm 3.1's working good. I'm happy with it, and so I'm not going to touch it. Then I have other Amigas, other 1200s where I didn't customize them at all. I also like to keep some Amigas original, with the floppy drives and original case and everything. And on those, I keep it at 3.1. That's like the last operating system that it had, and that's like the operating system when Commodore was alive. So I want to keep those original. And then, you know, if I'm using the Raspberry Pi, I'll use Pymiga or I'll use AmiKit X. If
yeah.
I'm using my Vampire, I'll use the Apollo OS. If I'm using my X5000, I'll be running OS 4. I haven't done much with Morph OS. I know the new A1222 runs MorphOS, and I can run on that 5000 as
Bill,
well. But yeah.
Bill, how do we preserve the past? This is more of a philosophical question. Okay, I'm going to slow it down here a little bit for you. How do we preserve it, like you said, the original operating system that's ended on that date, right? How do we continue that? And is it a risk to support new things? Obsolete,
Oh,
Dr. Obsoleto, I am very uncomfortable with upgrading. And it took me, I'm going to say this really clearly, it took me a long time to accept Raspberry Pi. I'm a purist, and I'll
I
leave
think
it
there's
at
I think there's room for both, because I'm a purist as well. And, when I go to a place like the Vintage Computer Federation's museum, the awesome museum that they have there in Wall Township, New Jersey, like I want to see the original stuff there. I love that museum. It's incredible. And like if I go there, I want to see the real Amigas. I want to see the real 64s. I want to see, all the real machines, the way they were, because it's really important to like remember where we came from. I love museums. I think history needs to be preserved. So places and people like Vintage Computer Federation that do preserve the original hardware, that's so valuable. Like it's so important to have museums and so important to have computer museums. It's amazing to have people who are like hardware experts. Like we have, the first person to come to mind is like John Hertel. He's in our Amiga community, and we got Paul Resendez out in California. Then we got Amiga of Rochester here in New York, and they repair the old hardware. It's because these capacitors, especially in like the 1200 and the 4000, they get old and they leak, and you have to replace them. And not everyone has that level of like electronic stability. So thank goodness for people like that who are recapping the machines. If you don't recap your machine, the acid is going to leak out, and the machine is going to be destroyed.
See,
So
that's the
uh,
benefit of using the emulation. Sorry, that's right. That's why
mhm,
you spare having to turn the machine on and flipping the switch. Because God, what's going to happen when I do? I don't even want to think about it. You
yeah,
know,
no, it's
you,
scary.
you
It's
know,
definitely
stuff
scary.
with nightmares. So we try to emulate, right?
Emulate is great. I love emulation too, because emulation, now you've got some modern hardware. You got a Raspberry Pi, or you're using your modern PC using Amiga forever. But all of a sudden up on the screen comes Workbench 1.3. So if someone's using Workbench 1.3, you're still preserving it, even if you're not running it on the real hardware. You're still clicking on floppy disks. You still got your empty drawer. You still got your trash can. You can go play with Deluxe Paint 3, make some cool artwork, and as long as it's being used, it's being preserved. So even if it's being used through emulation and not on the real hardware, it's still being preserved, because it's someone's using it, so it's on someone's mind. And then the other way to preserve it is to have user groups, like TPUG, and have people doing like really cool streams. It's important to. That's one cool thing about Twitch, is it's a young audience. So over there in the retro community, there's all these folks like playing like old Nintendo games, old Commodore games, even old PC games, and the young folks who are used to like Fortnite, they might go check out a retro stream, and they're like, oh, this is cool. Like, what's this about? And then if they learn about Commodore, they learn about the old Macs, or all the old computers. That's how it gets preserved, because you get them interested. Like Nivrig, the guy I showed you, Rogue Declan, before, he came on my stream with his kids, so his kids were his beta testers, which is awesome. So like those kids are gonna be stoked for Amiga, and it won't have the same meaning to them, because it won't have the nostalgia factor, but they're like, oh yeah, this is the thing my dad used to use, so, and they'll keep their interest. And then there's this cool family in Germany, the Amiga Sons. They're like these young kids who watch my stream every week, and they like Amiga because their dad loved Amiga, and he got them into it, and they started watching my streams, and they keep at Amiga because they like watching my streams every Sunday. So that's another way to preserve it. So there's so many ways. You got emulation is a great way to preserve it, preserving the real hardware, and then uh, making new games and making the games fun for the kids to play, streaming it, having user group meetings, having retro events. We got Long Island Retro coming up in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, which I'm totally psyched about. And like the kids go there they like if they see like one of those iMacs, they're like, whoa, I've never seen one of these before. And I'm like, oh man, it's cool though. It's cool to see it. It's important to get to the next generation.
Definitely, yeah. In terms of archives. Can you recommend any that are like CSDB kind of archival communities for Amiga?
Archives. Well, yeah, there's WH Download has got a lot of great stuff. That's a
Sweet.
great. They have a lot of games that were converted to WHD Load. I love that one. LemonAmiga.com. They're back. They just got hacked, and they're back. I think
Oh,
they're back. I think
man.
I just saw it, which is awesome. And they're really cool because they have like every single Amiga game that ever came out in their database. And then they also link to another place called like Hall of Light, and they have like scans of all the original manuals, which is super cool. I forgot the site. I forgot the exact URL, but they have tons of scans of the old Amiga books. So they have like the big book of Amiga hardware there and all the classic books. So that's places like that. Those are really cool. So yeah, definitely Lemon Amiga. I love Lemon.
Okay,
And
so Lemon got hacked.
they got hacked.
Holy buckets. What happened?
Yeah. I don't know exactly. There was some kind of like SQL injection, and then they were held. The hackers were holding them out at ransom. I think it was some like random bot found an exploit in it, and then they held them ransom. But fortunately, they're back. And that was Lemon Amiga and Lemon and 64. They both got hacked, but they're back. Yo Arcade Ages, what's up? Thanks everyone on Twitch for watching too. We're with with TPUG, the oldest user group in the world. The Commodore.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love you guys. You're awesome. You guys are inspiration for me and Westchester Amiga user group, as is the Vintage Computer Federation.
Yes, thank you both. Thank you everybody for attending. The Amiga 500 was your first, and then what you went to the 1000 afterwards, or did you go into 600 territory at all?
2000 was the next one. So it was, yeah, so I had the 500, which I was really rocking out on the 500. I had a 20 meg hard drive that went in the Zorro slot on the side. And then my neighbor had a 2000 that was really cool. It had an 020 in it, and it had, what else? Yeah, he had an 020 and a 40 meg hard drive. And he had a Kickstart switcher, so he could run Kickstart 1.3 or Kickstart 2.04. And I was like, oh man, that's a cool Amiga. And then for some reason, he lost interest in it and decided to sell it. So he and his dad sold it to me and my dad for a good price. So that was my next Amiga. And that's the one where I really got into more hardcore like video production and 3D modeling and rendering, because the 020 made a big difference over the 500.
And you got the
16,000.
toaster going. I see you.
I got toaster now. I didn't have a toaster back then. Even though the toaster was like incredible bang for the buck, it was still a lot of buck for for us. We weren't a TV channel. We didn't have like 10. The toaster's probably about like 10 grand all in, around there, and that was still that's a lot, especially back in 1990s to 1990s money, But yeah, 40 megabytes, you'll never fill that exactly. Oh yeah. Oh, Photons. Janeway is a great resource for the demo scene. They preserve demos, and Aminet. Yeah, Aminet is actually like the best archive of Amiga, utilities and public domain stuff. Aminet.
Yeah, I use Aminet in Pymiga. It's got that portal on the bottom.
So cool.
Yeah, and that guy is really dedicated. The Pymiga guy.
Chris Edwards. Yeah.
Yeah, he fixes people's Amigas for free.
Yeah.
So I have a Amiga 1.5. I haven't done 2.0 yet. Do you have 2.0?
I've got Amiga, whatever the latest one is. I've got. I feel like it's 4, right? I think it's 4.
Oh, holy cow, man! I'm so behind. I'm still in 1982, bro.
Yeah, no, we're on 4 now, and the Amiga will even run on like a Silicon Mac. It's pretty crazy.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. And PC, I think you can run on PC if I'm not mistaken. I just run it on my Pi.
So you're doing a lot of traveling and stuff. What are you bringing on the road to scratch the itch?
Well, that's a great question, because a lot of times I've been traveling like long term. I did 2 like long term TV shows where I was away for 4 or 5 months about, and I didn't want to stop the Sunday Fun Day. I didn't want to stop my streams, so I brought the Raspberry Pi with me, and that was how I streamed. My laptop and my Raspberry Pi, and I was styling.
The case that you just showed us?
No, I just took the little Pi. I brought the little Pi and a small keyboard and mouse. I took my Pi 4 out of that case, and
And what do
I
you
brought
run?
that.
What you run a Amiga on the little Pi? The four is it 300 or four?
It's a Pi 4, and
Okay.
for the streams, I was using two things. I was using Amiga, and I was using not AmiBerry. What's it called? Amibian.
Amibian. Oh, okay.
Amibian. Yeah, yeah. Because Amibian, I have it set up just like my 1200. So like Amiga is like the ultimate Amiga with Scalus and all that, but with Amibian, I've got set up for OS 3.1.
If
So it
you
was
were to
just
choose, sorry, if you were to choose Amibian versus Amiga, what would you choose? I love Amiga, but what's your preference?
I would these days I'll probably go Amiga, but the cool thing about Amiga that some people forget is you can also like you can make it it runs on AmiBerry, so you can not boot to the actual Amiga if you want. You can boot to your own basic Amiga 3.1 1200 if you want as well. So Amiga is really cool. But I had Amibian first. I had Amibian before Amiga, and it works good. You know, it works good. It's but and I have that one set up as my 1200, which is cool. So I could bring my 1200 on the road in a little Raspberry Pi.
And Amibian you could run on Linux or other machines or
Yeah, I think it uses Linux in the background.
okay.
Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it does. Yeah, so on the Pi.
Are you a
Yo, what's
Linux
up,
fan?
Mr. Citizen?
Are you,
Oh, what's up, Mr. Citizen? You know, I'm a Linux noob. I feel bad. My Linux skills are poor, but I appreciate the Linux. I respect the Linux, and I've dabbled with it with Amibian, and also AmiKit X has got Linux underneath, and so does Amiga. It's got like their rabbit hole style thing there. So I respect the Linux, but I'm not like a Linux guy. I would like to learn more about it though. When you know what, I definitely would like to learn more about Linux. It's pretty cool. I have enough going on with crappy old Windows and then the Mac OS. But Linux is really cool. You know what, if I wasn't as into Amiga, I probably would get into Linux. But I'm messing around it with Amiga OS if I'm not using the modern stuff. Thanks for the follow, Fuzzy Bad.
yeah, we will open up the questions here. You could either type them in or we could take the questions for Bill.
Oh, cool. Cool. Yeah. All right. Cool. Thanks, Harley. Yeah. What's up, Harley Morgan? If you guys want to ask questions in the chat, I can repeat them as well in the Twitch chat, or you can do the chat here on the was it the Google Meet, which is working well. And but you know, the one thing we didn't really talk about is we're talking about the community, because the most important thing for me with Amiga and Retro is the community. You know, like look, like I'm here in the TPUG user group meeting right now, and that's so cool that I met new friends. I met you because of TPUG, and Jeff was over there. I met Jeff because of the Vintage Computer Festival and the Vintage Computer Federation. They're doing amazing stuff over there. And then you know, I see C64 Television over there. I met him through the Twitch stream. And the cool thing about Amiga is like it attracts such a diverse group of extremely passionate and talented people, which I love. Amiga was really a tool for artists, and the fact that it attracts so many artists, I got to meet so many new friends through Amiga. And also we can talk about Westchester Amiga User Group. That was kind of a big deal. Like the Westchester Amiga User Group is probably like the most important thing in my Amiga life because I've been doing that since 1988. So that was way before the Twitch or the YouTube Guru Meditation or any of this. And
Do
we
you
kept
guys
meeting. We
ever
never.
stream? Do you ever stream the Westchester groups for those who can't? It was purely in person.
No, well, it was purely in person until the pandemic, and then we went virtual. Now we do both virtual and in-person meetings. But we still do. I try and do a virtual meeting on the first Thursday of every month in honor of when we used to meet back in the old days. And the virtual meeting is we use something called Jitsi. It's like Google Meet. The same thing. I don't stream it just because not everyone wants to be on camera on my Twitch channel. So I want to respect their privacy. But so and it keeps it a little more personal. You know, we talk about like a lot of like I said, like Anthony, I met him at Westchester Amiga User Group, and I've known him since I was over 13 years old. And so we also catch up on personal stuff too. So I don't
Oh,
stream it.
someone asked in Twitch, is it possible for someone to use FPGA as pure chip replacements?
Oh, that's a good question. I believe so, but I'm not an expert with that, to be totally honest.
Jeff says or asks, what sparked your interest in computers and technology?
Oh, you know, I guess just my dad, like I said, my dad brought home the Atari 800, and it just resonated with me. My parents always tried to introduce me to a variety of things, and when he brought home the 800, the computer was just magical because I'm a creative person, and I just saw all this cool stuff happening on the screen with the 800, that really cool sound and music and visuals, and it caught my attention. They also brought home like an organ pipe organ, you know, an electric organ, and it didn't work out. I suck at music. Terrible when it comes. I can't do music. So that one didn't work out, but the computer did. So just being exposed to that Atari 800
Now
caught my
you're
attention.
starting to sound like Ferris Bueller, Bill. Are you Ferris Bueller? I asked for a car. I got a computer.
Yeah, right. That's right. That's
Uh,
hilarious.
yeah.
That's another good one.
Let's see. Ryan, I've seen if. Oh, Ryan, if you could take a DeLorean and go back in time. See, we were talking about this earlier. If you could take a DeLorean, go back and change something about the Amiga, what would you change?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, okay. So I would get the flicker, man. The flicker is brutal. The flicker on those CRTs, that was brutal. Like, they eventually figured it out, but that was brutal. Oh man, I used to have like this polarized glass I would put over my CRT monitor. One of my monitors, you can still see like the glue on the edges. I would definitely change the flicker. That was a nightmare. That's the first thing that came to mind. That flicker was brutal. I know a lot of people got turned off by the Amiga because of the flicker as well.
How do you think
Um,
the Amiga would have changed if the OS was based on Unix as almost was?
oh wow. You know, I know like I don't know. I really don't know. I think the cool thing about the Amiga is like its unique OS. You know, it's like the first multitasking home computer. I could multitask with 256K of RAM. Like if it was based on Unix, would it be able to multitask with 256K of RAM? I don't know. Maybe not. You know, I feel like if it was based on Unix, it would be more of like a traditional computer, and it wouldn't have the magic that the Amiga OS has.
What is the story behind, this is my question, what is the story behind Jay Miner, that photo? Where did you
Oh, the
meet
photo.
him? And
Okay.
what was your experience with Jay?
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah. So Jay Miner, father of the Amiga, also father of the Atari 800-bit, 800, 8-bit. He It's funny because like when I was younger, I didn't really know too many people behind the scenes. Like I didn't. Some people like knew all the Commodore engineers and like they knew Dave Haney and all those folks, and I didn't know them until like later on. But I knew Jay Miner. Like he was the main man when it came to Amiga. And I went down to Ami Expo in Washington D.C. I used to go to the World of Commodore in New York. I used to go to Ami Expo in New York, and they had a Ami Expo in Washington D.C. And I was looking at colleges. I was looking at Georgetown University, and I was like, oh, there's like a Ami Expo down there, and we can go check out Georgetown at the same time. So went down to Ami Expo in Washington D.C. and it was like this is like peak Amiga. Like it was like the toaster was being announced. They had like DC TV down there. This is like peak Amiga time, and Jay Miner was giving the keynote speech for Ami Expo, and I was just kind of like hanging out in the lobby, and he was just walking by, and I was like, oh, Jay Miner, you're awesome. Like, thanks for the Amiga. I want to shake your hand. I was like, oh yeah, cool. And then he just started like talking to me and asking me questions. And he was just like, he asked me like who I was, and I told him about Westchester Amiga User Group, and he was like stoked. He's like, yeah, user groups are the best, and like he was excited that I was like a young person who was into it. And so he talked to me for like 20 minutes. It was amazing. You know, there's like all like these developers who are like trying to get Jay Miner time. He's just there in the corner, like in the lounge, like hanging out with me, talking about user groups because he was really excited about the user groups, and he was really excited about Westchester Amiga user group. So that was yeah, we talked for like 20 minutes. It was amazing. And then my dad took the picture of us, and then there's like there's two pictures of us, like us, you know, looking at the camera, shaking hands. And the thing I remember, I was really nervous. He wanted to like get a shot of us shaking hands like we were making a business deal. So I was looking at him and he was looking at me. But I was just so excited. I just like kept looking at the camera, my dad's camera, like, oh, Jay Miner, it's awesome. And he was just so nice. That was the thing. The thing that I took, my big takeaway from that meeting, it had nothing to do with the tech at all. It was just like, wow, this is like a really nice person who cares about other people and like gives them his time. He's a great leader that people respect and like, and I want to be like that guy.
Anything that comes to mind during his speech at the convention? that you remember?
The passion. He loved that Amiga. The
Oh,
passion. Yeah, he loved it. The Amiga 4000 hadn't come out yet, but he kind of hinted at it. And I remember people like, "Oh." So that was, yeah. I have that recording that on the Guru Meditation YouTube channel. It's a really really cool speech. So he was talking about the future, but the thing is just I think his personality comes through in that, and I think you can just tell how much he loves the machine, how much it means to him.
and I always get the sense from talking to all these engineers, like Dave Haney was recently on with us
Mhm.
here at TPUG, and I always get the sense that the engineers really respected Jay, you know, and he really fostered an environment where the engineers can do their work and dream big, and make this machine that we saw in the commercials where it's like a dark room and there's clouds and there's like dry ice and you're being sucked into this world. How could you how could you conceivably reject that upon seeing that on your television screen? You wanted that machine. We knew it was different. Those of us who were doing 8-bit, those of us who were VIC-20 and Commodore 64, we knew something was changing when Amiga came along. It was the next
It was
generation.
it was so true, and that's another thing I love about Jay Miner is, I never heard anyone say like a bad thing about the guy. He's just, like I said, he's a great person. He cared about the people just as much as he cared about the computer, and he was a great leader. Besides being brilliant with the hardware and software, the Amiga, I think that's one of the things that makes Amiga special. It was so, besides it being technically very far ahead of its time, it was a very personal machine. Like the inside case of the 1000 has got the signatures of the engineers. It's got Mitchie, his dog's print. The custom chips have human names, even though some are based on their purpose. They still have human names. Paula, Denise, Agnes, Gary. Like it's got a lot of, you can definitely feel the human touch in the Amiga. You can tell that the people who made it were really proud of it, and it was the most important thing in their lives, and they wanted to share it with the world. So
Yeah,
it's got that human
he
touch.
put a human touch on that computer. He literally, Jay Miner put his fingerprint on those chips, and you
Yep.
could feel that. Mackie asks, which thank you, Mackie. BBSs were a big part for me, and back in the day, I
Mm.
even ran my own BBS for years.
Mm.
DMBBS. So my question, Bill, thanks, Mackie. Nice to see you. Hope to see you soon in Chicago. My question is, are you involved in BBS at all? And do you support that community? Do you know anybody who's doing BBS on the Amiga? Um, uh,
Yes. Yes to all of them. I was a big BBS guy back in the day. I had a 1200 baud modem. I had a 300 baud modem with acoustic coupler for my Atari 800. That was my first BBS experience. And I had a 1200 baud modem for my Amiga. And I still have a log somewhere. One of these books back here. It's somewhere over here. It's a log of I used to love BBSs so much. I would go on and I had my dot matrix printer and I'd print out the whole session just because I thought it was so magical. I used to the main one that I would call is the video store down the street, the VHS rental house. They had a BBS and called Stage Door BBS. And I would call that one because it was close, because back then, it cost a lot of money to call outside of your town. So I called the one that was close to me, and it was cool because I kind of knew people. I would go into the video store and there were some of the people who were on the BBS. So it was definitely like an electronic way to get in touch with people in real life. I used to do a lot of BBS things. Somehow I don't remember. I had a whole book of of phone numbers and sorry, there's like someone trimming trees outside. I had a whole list of phone numbers, and I would call the BBSs, and then if they were a little further away, if they were in Long Island or something, I would call them at night when it was cheaper. And then I got into CompuServe. I was an early adopter of CompuServe, and
yeah.
PeopleLink had a great Amiga section, so I started going on to bigger services besides the BBSs like that, and I love those, and then eventually AOL, but which was and then now there's really not, there's still people who are hosting BBSs on real Amigas out there. Karen Roberts has got one, Retro 32 has got one, and it's really neat. There's also these devices that let you telnet. You can use your real Amiga and telnet into their BBSs. So you can actually be on your real Amiga, even you're telnetting through your Wi-Fi, but it really feels like you're like dialing into an actual BBS, and they're still running the old, like some are still running like Wildcat or some other Amiga software. I even ran my own little BBS for a while. I couldn't really do it because I only had one line at the home. But at night I would turn on my computer and see if anyone dialed in. And I think I listed my number in a few places, and every now and then someone would dial in. It was pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm a sysop on a BBS. I'd like to invite you, and
Mm,
I'll give you credentials and I'll give you your own channel. I'm gonna
cool.
I'll make an AmigaBill channel. We've got a TPUG channel, just so everybody
Oh,
knows, on Noverdue BBS. I'll post the details. We've got a TPUG channel on the BBS, so it's really feels really warm to log in, to get away from social media and go into the BBS, see what
yeah.
people are talking about. It's a part of the community that's important.
I'm dropping the TPUG link into my chat on Twitch right now. But because freaking Apple still can't get copy and paste right after all these years, man. Apple, it's so hard to copy and paste. I don't know what's with Apple. I can't paste
Yeah,
it. It's
what's
TPUG.
yeah,
I
I know.
freaking it's TPUG. If you go to tpug.ca, then you'll have their like YouTube channel links, and you'll have everything there, folks. And because you gotta check out their YouTube channel. It's awesome.
What about the Amiga 1200? Do you remember this? Like 10 years ago, this dude in Poland found a crate of Amiga 1200. Do you remember this? This was
I'm not surprised. I'm not
Yeah, he
surprised. I don't
found a
remember. I
crate.
don't remember that.
They're beautiful machines. My buddy brought one to Chicago last year. I mean, it's in beautiful condition, his 1200, and he had a really beautiful monitor. And I just enjoyed using Workbench and playing some games on it. Do you have any thoughts about the 1200, even though you skipped it because you went to the 2000?
No, the 2000 was before the 1200. The 2000 was an OCS machine. The 2000 was the big box version of the 500. Like with the Amigas, you always had the big box version, and then you had the wedge version. So the basically the 2000 and the 500 were the same machine, but the 2000 had all the expansion ports, and then the 4000 and the 1200 were essentially the same machine. So the 1200 came out after 2000, but I
Yeah,
think
that's
the
right.
3 to 1200 is the ultimate. It's the ultimate, especially today, because there's so many people are developing things for the 1200. I mean, the big box Amigas like the 2000 and 3000, 4000, they weren't big in Europe. They were more popular here because here people used Amigas more for video production and productivity, where in Europe they focused more on the games. So most of the Europeans had 500s, and they went from 500 to 1200. And 1200 is really the sweet spot today because 1200 it's got the most advanced graphics architecture. It's got the AGA chips, and it can basically play any new game, any new thing that comes out for Amiga. It can be run on a 1200. I love the form factor of it, and it's the most actively supported Amiga in here in 2024. So the 1200 is the best machine to have. It's got the PC MCIA port, so you can take a compact flash card and like easily share files between your modern computer and the 1200. I use that all the time, and
Wait, what is that? What's that again?
oh, you can just like it's got a PC MCIA port, and
Oh,
in that
okay.
port, yeah, in that port you can attach a compact flash card, and that's how I transfer the files between either my PC or my Mac and the Amiga. So it makes it easy to download stuff, pop it on the compact flash card, and you're good to go. There's other ways to get files over to your real Amiga too, but that's the way I do it. I think it's the easiest.
So you use a flash card or USB or SD card? Do you
Yeah,
use?
I use the compact flash. Yeah,
Okay.
with the PC MCIA port. Yeah, good point too. Bob Rice said the 1200 with WHD load can play even the oldest games. WHD load is an amazing piece of software, and it lets you play like Amiga 500 games on the 1200, even though they're designed to run, on the slower 500 with the OCS graphics.
And
The 1200
yeah,
is one.
my buddy has a 1200 and he's got an SD card reader.
Mm.
But this is an SD card reader that's at least 10 years old, at,
Mm.
at least. Do you recall when these alternative, I want to say not alternative, but newer storage methods started to come out to interface with Amiga? Like, can you remember the first time you could use a zip drive or a USB drive or something to interface? And what was that year?
Yeah, that was. I mean, I don't remember exactly, but I mean, the Amiga 600 had the PC MCIA. The Amiga 600 was kind of like the ugly stepchild of Amiga back then, but it did have the PC MCIA port. But I don't think it was quite as useful. But yeah, I remember like back then, SCSI. A lot of people like would add SCSI drives to their Amiga, zip drives. I never had a zip drive on my Amiga, but I feel like the modern solutions, like, and then yeah, USB. That kind of came late. That came very, very late in the Amiga's life. And I feel like the modern ones, I don't know exactly what year they started coming out, but people, like when they started replacing their hard drives with compact flash cards, I'm feeling like 2010-ish, when all the new solutions came out. But I'm just pulling that number out of the air. Don't quote me on that.
So do you know of an external, an adapter for a USB or SD card reader for my Amiga 500 that I could connect to it? And I could, put ADFs on it and play it.
Yeah.
And you have a
Yeah, well,
solution?
for the 500, there's two great things.
Guru, please give
Yeah,
me a
the
solution.
500, the 500's got some really cool stuff. There's it's called a GoTech drive, and that basically replaces your floppy disk drive with an SD card, and that will let you load your ADF files and play your ADF games. There's also the GoX, which is essentially a GoTech drive. That's what I have in mind. Pop in the SD card, and you can select whatever ADF floppy you want. There's something called the Go Drive. The Go Drive is really cool because it lets you keep your original floppy disk in there, and it adds the USB or SD capability to loading those ADFs. And there's something else called the ACA 500 Plus. It goes into the side expansion port, and it gives you two compact flash slots. One is Amiga formatted, and you can load up your OS onto that. So it's like having a hard drive. And then the other one, you can format your compact flash card FAT, and then you can transfer files over to it from your modern PC like that. So if you get an ACA 500 Plus and you get yourself a Go X drive, you'll be styling.
So GoTech or GoX.
Yeah, I like the GoX is just easy because it comes. You can GoTech is fine too, but whatever solution is already like mounted, like the GoX drive, you can it comes with the 3D printed mounts like all set up and ready to go. You just drop it in. I like easy. The GoTechs, some of them are big. Some people have made other mounts for it too, but they basically do the same thing.
Yeah,
And then
my
the
buddy has
Go
an old
drive as
version of
well.
that. My buddy has an old version of the GoTech. It has like an LCD screen, black and white. Do you remember the early ones that came out? They had an LCD screen that showed the file name, the ADF file name, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
you
yeah.
scroll.
I've got that over here. It's an OLED like LCD. That's part. You can get them for the GoTech drives, and you can also get them for the GoX drive. I got it. Let's see. This thing connected? Let's see. Oh, this is cool too. There's a power. I got this little thing called PowerShock, and it lets you power your Amiga with USB-C. That's a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Yeah. So this, I got the OLED here. This is the GoX drive, and this is the OLED right up here. And then you
Oh,
can
you
just
got it mounted. Okay.
yeah, and then you can just select your ADS with that.
Whoa, that's a cool clear case.
No, it sure is. It's another
Beauty. Okay,
A1200.net
yeah,
special, and I got some clear keys with it too. I love this. This is a beauty. I love this 500. It's
beautiful. Who does those
yeah.
cases?
A1200.net.
Okay.
Yeah, it's you can get them directly from them. That's the best way to do it. Thanks, Rule of Thirds. Yeah, FishBot's a sweet machine. You guys like GoTech with A 500 Plus? Yeah, the ACA 500 Plus exactly Rule of Thirds. ACAs are great, Greg. Yeah, what's up, Greg? D Frizzell's here. I see some folks. I think Jeff asked a question. I didn't see those little. I didn't know those. This is my first time with the Google. I saw some. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in the chat. Oh, look at dope. Sorry. I didn't have my chat up there. Oh, you love Bruce. I love Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee's amazing. Bruce Lee is the Atari 800 game. Oh, come on. Come on. It's on the 800 first. I love the 64 version too, of course. D-Mac, you spent a lot of money on my streams. But I
He
saw Jeff had
blamed
a
you.
question. Oh, my favorite game. My favorite game. Jeff asked my favorite game. My favorite classic game. Oh boy. Well, do I have it up here? I got it right here, Jeff. It's fortunately it's one of the games that survived. It's called Out of This World, and
Oh,
The
okay.
European folks will know it as Another World. And to me, this game embodies like everything that's Amiga. It's atmospheric. It's fun to play. It's got a great storyline. It's got like a character that you actually care about. It was a game I could actually complete because Amiga games were very hard, very, very hard, especially the arcade ones. They were very hard. This game was actually beatable. You can actually complete it. And Amiga was known for the whiz bang. Amiga, I had like some of the games had like these amazing opening sequences, and this might be the best one. This might be one of the best opening sequences to a video game ever. And I love it. Like I'm a visual guy. I love the visuals, and watching the beginning of Out of This World, or Another World as they know it everywhere else in the world, is it's like watching Tron. It's about a guy with like
Oh, wow.
he's sitting,
Okay.
yeah, he's like in a cool car. It's like a Ferrari, or it's like a Ferrari-esque thing. He pulls up to his laboratory. He goes in his laboratory, and then he gets zapped with a laser, and then he ends up in this foreign world, all these beasts, and then you meet this cool friend who comes on the journey with you. It's a very magical game. So if I had to pick one, I'd pick Out of This World, Another World. But then I also love like Lemmings is a classic. Love Lemmings. I love some of the early arcade ports. Like the Marble Madness port is the best. It's arcade, like it seems like it's arcade perfect. Arkanoid port. I also what other Shadow of the Beast. See the gripe with Amiga too. A lot of people say the Amiga's got a lot of whiz bang and not great gameplay. So a lot of games did focus more on they focus a lot on the graphics and the images, more so than the gameplay in some scenarios. So some people are like, "Oh, Shadow of the Beast, like it looks great, but it's not a great game to play." I disagree. I think it's still a good game to play, but I never beat it. It was like it's too hard to beat, but I could beat Out of This World. But yeah, if I had to pick one, Out of This World, Another World.
Jeff, do you have some questions for Bill?
Well, I had another one. Did you have a hard drive for your Amiga years ago? Did you ever get one of those?
I could probably go into the garage and dig mine out. But they had a hard drive for the Amiga 500. It was designed really well. It like blended with the 500, and it was 20 megabytes. And I went into that side expansion slot, and that was a game changer. Like having that hard drive on the 500 was a game changer. And then I had a 40 megabyte hard drive in my 2000 when I got that. So that was, yeah, the hard drive was key. It was really, really important to have a hard drive, especially like when you're doing stuff like graphics. I also used a program called PageStream. It's a desktop publishing program, and that's how I made the newsletter for Westchester Amiga User Group. And I had them all saved on the hard drive. Printed them out with a PostScript printer. So it was, yeah, the hard drives were key. But not like having a hard drive on the 500 back then was rare. It was very, very rare.
Someone asked here, do you feel that a big part of their love for the C64 and Amiga is partly due to the fond memories of the 80s?
Big time. Absolutely, 100%. I think nostalgia is a large part of the love of retro computers. Nostalgia is huge. It takes you back to when you're a kid. It was a magical time for computers, because nowadays I feel like computers are they're more of like a utility. Like everyone's got a computer now, everyone's got a refrigerator now. But back then, like to have a computer, like whoa, like not everyone had computers. They were very, very magical. Kids would come over to my house because I had to see the Atari. Like, wow, that's a computer. That's amazing. I've never seen one of those before. So we were ahead of the curve. Like we saw the evolution of home computers and then the internet. So I think it was like the perfect time to be into computers, because we saw them blossom into what they are today. Telephones, right? Yeah. So yeah, it was magical, and I love shows that tap into the nostalgia of the 80s too. Like they have Amigas, they have an Amiga in Stranger Things, which is cool. And I love a lot of the modern stuff when they show with a modern show and that takes place in that time period. It's cool to see all the old computers, and obviously there's a market for it because Stranger Things is like the most popular show on Netflix, and like stuff like *Halt and Catch Fire*. I love that show too. Yeah, but the nostalgia is huge. It's a huge part of it, and that's what I think about when it comes to keeping the stuff alive, like keeping the Amiga alive, keeping the Commodore alive. It's important to pass it on to the next generation, but it'll never be the same because they don't have that nostalgia with it. But they will. The one thing that's cool is like the these kids in Germany, but they're like, you know what, like when we grow up, we'll still remember like watching your stream when we were kids. So even though like the machine's old, they'll still have that little bit of nostalgia. They'll remember their childhood, like, oh yeah, we used to watch that guy on Sunday nights. So there's a little bit of nostalgia there, but yeah, nostalgia is a huge part of it.
So I know in the C64 there's a big demo scene, especially in Europe, and they do the most amazing demos that really push the C64 to the limit. Is there a similar one for the Amiga where they really push it to, like, you know, extremes that you never would have imagined in the original days?
It's a great question. Yeah, it's the Amiga demo scene is insane. I think when it comes to demo scene, that, you know, right now in present day, there's a Revision demo party, which is the biggest demo party in the world. They saved their PC demos for last. All right, fine. But right before that is the Amiga, because the Amiga demo scene it's so strong. And some of the demos that are coming out these days, they just take it to a whole new level. And the coolest thing about some of these demos that blows me away is not just the ones that are like, oh, that runs on a 1200 with an 060 in it. That's cool, don't get me wrong. But there are these demos for the Amiga 500 that are just like, what? Are you kidding me? It's insane. The Amiga, I start my streams, each stream, with a demo, sometimes a classic one, sometimes a new one. But the amount of new demos that are coming out, the demo scene is super, super strong. The Amiga demo scene is really strong. I wasn't into demo scene when I was a kid because it wasn't big here in the United States. And then it's kind of something that those wild Europeans used to do. But now, like, for me, the demo scene is like the coolest part, because what do I love? I love art and I love music, and that's what the demo scene is. It's a subculture of art. So for me, the demo scene is kind of like the most exciting. I mean, I even prefer demos to games these days. I don't have time to play games, but I have time to put on a demo. It blows my mind. But some of the games, like we were talking about before, like Metro Siege and Grind, those games are also pushing the Amiga to places that has never been pushed before. And a lot of the folks working on them also do demos. So yeah, the Amiga demo scene's amazing, and seeing the Amiga pushed beyond we ever imagined in the demos and in these new games, just like, whoa. Because a lot of the folks who are doing the demos and a lot of folks who are doing the games, they were kids back then, but now they're like professional game developers. So they have all their life experience to put into their work on the Amiga. So they just, and they also have new tools. For a lot of people use, you know, emulation to make demos now too. And there's tools where you can just create demos faster, because you can use modern tools to program the demo and then bring it over to the real hardware, where back then you had to use more primitive software and do it on the actual computer. So it's just a longer process. So now they're just doing crazy stuff.
Yeah, so on the C64, there's lots of modern ways of developing on a PC, and then, you know, exporting it to a binary that you can load onto a real C64. So that's good to know that there is also an Amiga world.
Exactly. They're doing the exact stuff on Amiga as well. And some of the music that's made is incredible. The amount of I can't believe how they can fit so much into like such a small space. The compression is just incredible between the visuals and the music, and their coding skills and their compression skills are just off the charts. I don't really understand how it all works. I've been to some demo parties, I've been to some seminars, and, you know, I'm not a programmer, so I don't quite understand all of it, but I can appreciate what they're doing and the way they compress things and get it all to fit into such a small space and be able to run on such primitive hardware. It's incredible. But the cool thing is, like, the final thing is awesome. That's what's really cool. It's like, it's not cool just because it runs on old software. Like, if I show one of my favorite demos to like a friend who doesn't know anything about retro computers or demos, they'll watch it and they're like, that's cool. Like, that song rocks and those visuals are cool. Like, it's cool because it's cool, not just because it's running on old computers.
Bill, how are you organizing all of your files, like your floppies, your stuff, you know, because, you know, it's like I've got ADFs on my Amiga Mini, on my 500, on my Raspberry. How do you keep track of everything? Are you really super organized with everything?
Well, nah, I mean, kind of. I try and be as organized as possible, but it's tricky. Yeah, it's hard. I just have, you know, I have a hard drive dedicated to my Amiga stuff, and then I have it broken down between like mod files, games. Then I separate it from like modern games and classic games, and yeah, it's basically all on a hard drive organized into directories. That's basically it. That's kind of that. It's and all by name. Like the games, I just put them in alphabetical order. It's because if I start to categorize it too much, then I forget. I'm like, wait a minute, how did I categorize that? What category is that in? So it's like, all right, games, letter, done.
And as far as emulation on Mac, you know, and iOS, anything, or is that a lost cause?
No, there's a great emulator on the Mac. It's called FSUAE. It's fantastic. It works really, really well. It's, you know, it's based on WinUAE. WinUAE is still the king of the hill, in my opinion. But FSUAE is fantastic. It works really well. And yeah, FSUAE also is on PC and Linux too. And like I said, it's the base of that Amiga Live, which is incredible. But yeah, I use FSUAE on my Mac. I think it's great.
I was asking, sorry, I was asking about iOS.
Oh, iOS. There, you know, I think recently there was some kind of like lawsuit or something, and there is some sort of Amiga emulator on iOS, but this kind of happened like very recently, so I haven't tried it. There may be, so I think there may actually be a way to emulate Amiga on iOS finally, but I haven't actually done it myself. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't done much phone emulation. But yeah, rules. Apple had rules against emulation, exactly, Photon. But I'm pretty sure they opened it up, and I think I saw someone release an Amiga emulator with iOS, but I don't quite remember, to be honest. If it's still there, there definitely was one that was released recently, but I don't know if it's still there.
Anybody else have questions? Mackie, Fuzzy Bad, Stefan?
I have another one.
Yes,
So the C64 demos, all the really good ones are Europe, so they're in PAL format. So are there issues that you run into where there's an NTSC and PAL format with games, demos, other things throughout the years?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jeff. Yeah, I can't really think of too many demos, if any, that are in NTSC. So there's two solutions. First of all, like the PAL NTSC thing isn't as difficult as it used to be, because now with the LCD monitors, you can kind of do either one. Where back then you need like a 1084S, which could do both. But the cool thing is, if you've got an Amiga 1200, you can boot into PAL mode. You know, if you have an NTSC 1200, you can boot. It's got there's a boot menu at the beginning. You can hold down both mouse buttons, and you can boot to NTSC mode, and it usually works well. But I just went ahead and got a PAL 1200 because I was always going to PAL mode. So I was like, let's just get a PAL 1200. So I got a PAL 1200. But you can run PAL stuff on an NTSC 1200. And then when it comes to the 500, you can get like you can modify an NTSC 500 to do PAL, but I just got a PAL 500. That was just easier. And then if you're emulating, you're fine. You're fine. You don't have to worry about it. But if you're using the real hardware, the demos, it's best to have PAL machines, for sure. Demos are fun. I gotta get to revision one day because it's a big party.
Yeah, blast every year.
Oh man, it looks so much fun. I've been to our buddy Inverse Phase. He used to host a demo party at MagFest down in Washington DC, and he brought two of our friends from Poland over. Who they had a demo party over there called River Wash. Yeah, it's not just revision. There's a lot of demo parties in Europe, all over Europe. Is remarkable, and those guys would come over and teach us, the crowd at MagFest, mostly American crowd, about demo scene and making demos and making music for demos and coding demos. And plus there was people there just coded demos, all weekend. And then it was a little demo compo that was cool. And then there's a demo party at Carnegie Mellon University that he runs as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I think I feel like it's in the fall. Demo Splash is called, but I can't remember. Those are, and there was one in Boston. There was one in Boston like last month. I didn't even know about it. But there was one up there in Boston. There's one that happens on Synchrony. It happens on a train. It starts in New York at Penn Station and it goes out to Montreal. So it's really cool. So there's a couple here. But it's not, but nothing like Europe, man. Europe demo scene, Europe. That's where it's at.
Yeah, what do you get when you go to Europe? What kind of vibe are you getting from them, and what is it? How has it changed your own view of Amiga?
Oh
Being with the
man.
Germans recently, I saw that you went to Germany and they
Mm.
embraced you, and you guys had a fun time. I'm like, man, I wish I could be there. What are you getting? I know you travel a lot, but what does this mean to you?
Oh, I said it's all about community and like the fact that you can meet people from all over the world that you have a common interest with, and not just about Amiga, but like I said, if you go to a demo party there, they're going to be artists. It's not people. It's people who love Amiga, but there's also people who make amazing music and people who make amazing artwork and then people who make amazing graphics. I'm sorry if it's loud out there. Someone blowing leaves outside my door right now. But yeah, the community is incredible. So my wife is from Poland, born and raised. So I don't know, but 10 years ago, I was over there and I was like, oh, I wonder if there's any Amiga stuff going on over here because I know it was really popular. And I searched, and sure enough, there was like tons of Amiga stuff. I was like, whoa! And like they had a party. It was like it's like half vintage computer show, and half demo party, and it was an hour from her house. So I was like, oh, I'm going. And this was a long time ago, before like the internet kind of brought us all. The internet brought us all together, internationally, but. There was never like an American dude who showed up at a Polish demo party. Like there's like, what? There's like, this guy's from New York. He's coming to our party. Is he crazy? So, and oh man, I couldn't have gotten a warmer welcome. I show up, there's like hugs, and within less than a minute, there's just homemade vodka flowing beers. It's a huge, great party. Like the Europeans couldn't be nicer. Like I love them. The Poles were the first ones I hung out with, and they just couldn't have been nicer and more welcoming. And then when I went to Amiga Germany, it was just like, it was awesome because I think like 65% of my viewers are from Europe because Amiga is so popular there. So like when I showed up in Germany, I'm like, now I get to like meet all the people who watch my streams like in person. It was amazing. So there's such a great group of people. I love the Europeans, and their passion for Amiga is just like, forget about it. It's like off the charts. But going to Amiga Germany, it's literally like being at AMI Expo 1992. Like close your eyes and open them, and you're at AMI Expo 1992. Like there's like vendors selling new stuff, the Bifrost. There's like Stephen Jones there with his checkmate cases. There's like the vampire guys there. It's like the Warp guys doing their thing. There's people at like their booth, their new game. Richard's there with reshoot Proxima 3, and oh man, so good. It's so, and they know how to party. They know how to party. They party like they party like they're freaking 16 years old. I don't know how these guys do it. I don't. They do the Amiga show all day, then they go out at night. Like literally, it's like a techno dance party, and then they're out until like, I don't know, 4 or 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and then they're at the show the next day. Oh, how do you do it? I don't even know. They're amazing. Oh yeah, that was the other cool thing about Amiga Germany. There was like we went to this really cool club afterwards, and they had Ravi Abbott. He's a part of the Retro Hour podcast. He's a great DJ, and DJ Hoffman, who did Seekanoid. They did like this really cool set where they DJ'd with 2 Amigas, and then there was Chris Hulsbeck, who also is a Commodore 64 musician, a legend. He performed live. These guys called Fast Loaders, or they're like a heavy metal band that plays the classic Amiga songs. They're like their version of like Shadow the Beast. Oh my god, it was so much fun. Yeah, it was great. Like you show up, like you show up, and like before you even sit down, someone's handing you a beer, and they're like, it's great. I love those guys.
Such a love for us Americans, especially us American retro users, because they know this is where the headquarters was, right? I mean, we had a big distribution. You could buy Commodores and Amigas at stores, versus my friends in Europe saying it wasn't as easy as you guys had it, maybe it's easier now with eBay and stuff, but when you say Poland, I kind of think, yeah, the bloc countries had to salvage parts to make microcomputers with Z80s and stuff, right? Because of the Cold War era, so history had a real interesting way of shaping the computer revolution. Do you have any thoughts about what's next and how we can keep this thing intact without the computers breaking down and losing the purity of it?
How to keep like you mean the Amiga scene intact, the retro scene intact?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's doing stuff like this. It's keeping user groups alive, like TPUG. It's like doing amazing stuff like VCF East, Vintage Computer Federation. It's demo parties, over there in Europe. It'd be cool to have some here in the United States. It's just, like I said before, it's like just turning on your Amiga or turn on your 64 and like doing something with it, doing anything with it that keeps it alive. If you're doing something with it, if it's on your mind, it's keeping it alive. It's like choosing like a cool project to do with it. Like all these folks that are making new like Amiga games, like they're not doing it for the money. Like they may make a little bit of money on it, but not anything near like what the amount of time they put into it. It's all for the passion, it's all for the love, it's all for sharing with the community. And the community is the most important part because it's way more fun to experience this with other people. And then if you're making a game and you got no one to enjoy your game, then what's the point? Like if you're making a demo, you want to show it to people. If you're doing a stream, you want people to watch and enjoy it. So it's all about the community and those events. Like I said, the Vintage Computer Festival is just a great one, and the Long Island Retro coming up is a great one. So and then it's all about the folks who keep the hardware alive too. Like I mentioned, John Hertel before, ASOL, Amiga Rochester. They gotta keep it going. But it's really about, like I said, it's about the community, the passion. Just turn on your retro computer and have some fun, and that's what it's all about. It's about having fun. It's all about, because sometimes you can get a little bit too deep into it and forget that this is all about fun. I've seen some things happen online. I'm like, this is fun. This is like real life is difficult, man. Real life is tough. Like there's some really difficult times in real life, and the idea is come over to your retro computer hobby and like forget about all that stuff. Like put that stuff to the side for a couple hours and just like enjoy the retro computer, enjoy the hobby. That's another thing I love about my streams. I hope comes from it, because it happens to me with other streamers and other YouTube channels. It's like if life's tough, you're going through a rough patch or something, you can like turn on your favorite streamer, favorite YouTuber and escape. And the cool thing about the streams is like it's live. So it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go watch that stream, but also like, oh yeah, like D Mackey's there and all these folks who would come every Sunday are there, and I can just chat with them in the chat. So it's a great way to bring people together and forget about the real world for a little bit, because the real world can be pretty rough.
Are you going to have an anniversary guru meditation with Anthony?
Well, I just figured out that this might be the year, right? This might be our 10-year anniversary, so we got to. The problem is Anthony's like right now he's traveling a lot. Like he's gone until December. So, but this would be the time to do it. So maybe somehow we can figure it out. I would love to do that. I would love to make more YouTube videos as well. It's just the thing with YouTube videos is I like them to be good and I like to edit them. So and it takes a lot of time. Whereas the streams, I could be a little more lazy with them. I don't have to edit, which is cool. But it's funny though. I end up still putting in a lot of time with the streams because I prepare for them, and I'm very organized with the streams. Like I have a whole agenda. Like what am I going to do on this stream? I plan it all out. I do all my research. Like what happens with Amiga that week. So I'm still doing a lot of work, but it's different than like grinding out and edit. But I still put a lot of time into the streams, and I also like it's cool. I make video all day during the week. That's my job. So doing YouTube is like, all right, I'm making more video. But the streams are cool because they're live. It's more like a radio show. And there's something really cool about the live aspect of that. And like I said, I love the medium of radio as well. And this is like, streams are like radio on steroids, because then you can like talk to other people at the same time.
And the new Amiga that's coming out, you said, let's see what that's about. That kind of sounded a little cynical, but yeah, we don't know. It's a full-size Amiga, but is the keyboard going to be usable, or is it going to be like the Mini? What is it going to be, FPGA? Do you know much about this? The rumors of this new Amiga?
Oh, I didn't mean to sound cynical. I'm excited about it. I'm getting one, of course. I just don't know what it is. I really don't. All I know is that they say it's a full-size Amiga console. That's what they said. I don't think it's going to be a console personally. Again, I'm just looking at the past history of that company, of Retro Games Ltd. And they had a mini Commodore 64 without a working keyboard, and they had a full-size Commodore 64 with a working keyboard. So I'm guessing it's going to be a full-size Amiga with a keyboard. So it's the same company. So I imagine they're just going to stick to that business model. And but it's that I think it's probably, I mean, again, this is all 100% speculation, but my guess is that it's going to be basically the same hardware as the Mini, but it'll have a keyboard. I could be wrong with this. Is all the software emulation, but I doubt it's going to be FPGA. I think it's probably going to be
okay,
similar hardware.
The same people that came out with the 64 Mini and 64 Maxi,
Mm-hmm.
those cats, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very skeptical that it's going to even have a workable floppy drive, right?
Oh, I doubt
So
it. Yeah, no, I'll be shocked.
It'll be like a FAW hard floppy drive, right? And then HDMI out.
It'll have that. It'll
with
have to have that.
USB.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's literally going to be the Mini with a keyboard. But that's just my guess.
Okay, but it's not FPGA then.
Yeah, I don't know, but I seriously doubt it. I seriously doubt it.
Doubt it.
Yeah.
They're hyped it up. But you're looking
Yeah,
forward to that.
I'm psyched for it, man. You know, it's just cool. That's another way to keep the community alive. It's another way to keep Amiga alive. Is just all these people making new new hardware, like new Amigas. Like we have we have that one coming out. So that's the whatever it's called, the new Amiga console from Retro Games. We've got the Vampire V4. Then we got something called the Orb. The Orb is coming out. I'm not sure what the Orb is exactly, but the Amiga Orb, it was announced at the Kickstart 2 party in the UK like a couple weeks ago. We got this A600 GS, which is the concept behind that. I was talking about AmiBench and how to use AROS and AmiBench. The concept behind that is like, what if Amiga OS could hit the ARM chip directly instead of doing emulation? So they made some libraries that do hit the ARM chip directly. So that's a step in the direction of making Amiga work natively with ARM versus emulation. So that's interesting as well.
Amazing. So which one do I invest in with all these options coming up? If I were to choose one, do I put my money in the LTD people or these other things?
I think first of all, you have to decide, do you only care about the device emulating Amiga, or do you want to run other stuff too? Do you want to run 64? I still think the Pi is the best. I think the Pi is still the best. I think the Pi is. But I love all these other projects. And I think if you're into the physical style, if you want to look good, the Retro Games LTD, like their A500 Mini, that looks good. It's like a well-made, good-looking device at a good price. I know people have picked it up recently on Amazon for like $89. That's a great price. And I think the A500 Mini.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw that. It kind of piqued my interest.
Yeah,
$80.
it's cool.
It
was like 80-something bucks. It's crazy.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That's I don't know if it's still that price, but it was that at Christmas time. So I think they're whatever they come out with is gonna look good. It's gonna tug at those nostalgia strings, because even like when I bring the A500 Mini to like the VCF East and I have it on my exhibit, it just puts a smile on everyone's face because it looks so cool. And I think their new one will look cool and it will be very functional. Then you have other things like the Vampire V4 and the other one I was telling you about, the 600 GS that just came out. That hits the ARM chip directly. With a couple libraries, like they're literally just black boxes, so they've got no sex appeal at all. but the devices are cool.
You have the 600 GS?
The A600 GS, yeah.
You like it?
I don't know. I bought it. I bought it, but I haven't gotten it yet. I'm waiting in line, so hopefully I'll get it soon.
So that's going to be its own episode, right?
Yes, yeah, that's its own thing. It's a Orange Pi 3. That's inside. So it's from what I understand, it's kind of between a Raspberry Pi 3 and a Raspberry Pi 4, and it comes with extra. It's got Ethernet and extra USB connectors, and it's got DB9 joystick connectors too, which is cool. But the idea is to try and separate Amiga from the Kickstart ROMs. So it's based on AROS, and the other concept is to like start hitting the ARM chip directly versus pure emulation. And it comes with Octamed, a new version of Octamed. So they're actually, and it's got a new version of Personal Paint. It's got a new version of, I think it's got a new version of Directory Opus. And so yeah, it's cool. They want to have like an online store, sort of like a Steam for it as well. I think they do have it.
I run Octamed on my Amiga 500. That was my first tracker. I love
Mm,
Octamed, you know. And then it got me into trackers on others on PC and Macintosh. You know, yeah. So yeah, Amiga started it all, right?
it did.
It really did. It shaped all of these things. As
The pie's
far
hard to
as
beat, though. The pie's
what do
hard
you,
to beat.
hard to beat. Hey, you know
Hard
what?
to beat that pie.
That makes me feel good that I invested in a Pi 400.
Yeah,
I love
it's
it.
great. It's
You know,
great.
I play and when I'm cooking, I put my demos on in the kit on my TV, and I play Amiga demos or mod files on my amp
I love
player,
it.
my Amiga amp. I mean,
Yep.
what else?
I love it. I love
Um,
it.
what do you think about the Mega 65?
I don't know much about it, to be honest, but everything that I've seen about it, everyone who I know that's got one loves it. It looks
Okay.
like a really cool project, but I don't have one myself, so I can't really speak intelligently on it. I know that the Commodore 65. Anthony's got a real Commodore 65.
Does he?
um,
Okay.
but the Mega 65 seems really cool. It looks really cool. It looks like a Commodore 65, and from all the specs that I've seen, it looks like a very interesting machine. I should
Are
actually get one of those.
it sounds like you're still even though you like Amiga, you take an interest in other projects, right?
Oh
Do
yeah,
you
for
ever
sure.
do you ever get any requests from people outside of Amiga that want you to
Yeah,
take a look at their stuff?
yeah, sure. Like I still like the Atari stuff. Like I said, I like the Commodore 64 stuff. I guess those are my three areas: Atari, Commodore, and and Amiga. But yeah, I try and keep up with the Atari scene as well. My buddy Pete Fletcher throws the Atari party every year. It's awesome. Can't wait
Where's
for
that?
that one. That was in Quakertown, Pennsylvania.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's great. It's a good time.
And then where does the 2600 lie in your heart?
Oh, that's a good question. I like it more now than I did back then. The 2600, like, because the 800 just blew it out of the water. So I was like, I was like, 2600, come on, the 800 just rocks. And I didn't even have a 2600 back then. I had a ColecoVision, and I had a piece of hardware that went into the expansion port on the ColecoVision, and that's how I played all my 2600 games. So I mean, there were some fun games. River Raid's great. River Raid's great.
Yeah.
And Atari is 2600. It's still classic, and I kind of like it more now than I did back then. But I still have fond memories of the 2600. I go to my friends. All of my friends had it, so I have good memories of playing the 2600 at their house. And I mean, even though that Pac-Man was terrible back then, I'm nostalgic for it. Oh yeah, remember how bad that was?
Yeah.
But I mean, the Atari brand is just so iconic. Like there's a reason why it's in Blade Runner. It's like there is a reason why they chose Atari for the Blade Runner, because it's such an iconic brand, and their style is really cool. You know what I really love with Atari? Tim Lapatino is a great. He makes great books. He made this book called The Art of Atari, and it's all about the artwork on the covers of the Atari games. It's great. It's one of my favorite books of all time. So the Atari is cool. I like Atari.
The 2600. So River Raid was one of your favorite games, and
River Raid is amazing. I love River
yeah,
Raid. Yeah,
that's one of my favorites. Yeah.
I just play
And so
Superman too.
Superman. So
Superman.
when you get your Coleco, you're all excited, then you get your Amiga 500. What happens to the Coleco over time? Do you just
Still
ignore it,
love
or
it. Nah,
still
I
love it?
mean, it wasn't as shiny as it used to be, because it's Coleco is great. I mean, I'll fire up Venture anytime. Venture is I love that game anytime. Smurf, Venture, Donkey Kong, the best home version of Donkey Kong at the time. I still kept my Coleco. It was a different thing. I loved the Amiga, but I still rocked my Intellivision as well. Loved the Intellivision. Best sports games on the Intellivision.
Did
I
you
learned
know
how to play
what?
baseball because of Intellivision baseball.
How about all the Pac-Man clones that were coming out on television during the 80s? I always got a kick out of that. Like, all these games that were trying to copy Pac-Man, and then they
Yeah,
got sued. There was a massive lawsuit over these clones, you know?
yeah.
Um, but
I,
those were different. It was like I always thought that was interesting in the 80s when I saw my friends have these clones, and I had the Pac-Man on the Atari 2600. I'm like, this is really weird. Why are they trying to copy this? Oh, maybe because it's the most popular coin op of the time, aside from Space Invaders.
Yeah, the Atari 800 had the best version of Pac-Man.
Oh, okay.
It was the best. It was the closest one to the arcade. I love that one. And it had another clone called Jawbreaker. That was a lot of fun. And another one called Ladybug. They were pretty good. Oh, Ladybug was on the ColecoVision, I think. I think Ladybug was on the ColecoVision. But yeah, Jawbreaker was hilarious. After you ate all the candies in the maze, a toothbrush would come out and brush your teeth. It was stuff like that. Like stuff like that. I love stuff like that. You know, like Atari had the 8-bit stuff had some fun. Like Preppy, it was their version of Frogger, and you were this this golfer with an Izod polo shirt, and you had to go collect your golf balls on the other side of the golf course, and it was Frogger, but the golfer. It was amazing. Like that stuff like that's got soul. You know, like that's got soul. That gives the computer personality.
Have you ever played Gauntlet on the Amiga? Did they report it?
Gauntlet 2 is excellent. Is there there must be a Gauntlet 1 on Amiga. Gauntlet 2, yeah, there's it's bad. But there was another one called Garrison that I played. Garrison and Gauntlet 2.
Is
That's what you want
Garrison
on
a
Amiga.
clone?
Garrison's a clone. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
It was
have
the
to
best.
check.
It was the best. Yeah, it was the best version of Gauntlet that we had when it came out.
Okay, circa 1980.
89, 90, 89, 90. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh yeah.
Bill,
It's Photon said, "What's up, Photon?" It does have Gauntlet 1 and 2. Yeah, I skipped Gauntlet 1. I think it wasn't too good. Garrison, I think Garrison came out first, and the Garrison was a little better. It had this really cool guitar riff that I loved. And but Gauntlet 2 is pretty good.
Gauntlet 2 and Garrison. And then any text adventures that you liked back in the day?
I wasn't a text adventure guy. I
No.
wasn't a text adventure guy. No. I mean, I had like Ultima. I had it because I felt like I should have it, and I played a little bit. I had what was it? The Infocom game. Classic Infocom. Yeah, I can't. My brain stops working.
Zork?
Zork. Yes, yeah, the Infocom. Zork, and then the one with this in outer space.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
That's it. Yeah, of course. And I had it, and I played them a little bit, and they were cool, but I wasn't a text adventure guy.
Okay, that's fair.
Another one I loved, Abuse. It was you probably can get away with this today. Abuse, but I'm thinking about text games. Abuse was a text game on the Atari 800, and it would you had to insult the computer, and it would insult you back. It was so good. My dad and I would just play that for hours, and you just would. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. Abuse. And the name of the company that made it was called Don't Ask. Abuse by Don't Ask. It was great. Oh man, yeah. It would just all these horrible jokes. It was great. You had to insult, and I think you even get points for good insults.
That's awesome. Any
Yeah.
sim games that you like on the Amiga, like Sim Ant, Sim City, Sim People, Sim Earth?
I wasn't a big sim guy, but I liked Populous. I really liked Populous a lot. It's kind of like a god sim game. Civilization is amazing.
Oh, okay.
Powermonger, and my friend Anthony, his favorite is Settlers. Settlers is a classic. Also, Dune 2. Dune 2 is a good one too. Yeah. Yeah.
Dune 2 is kind of like a Civilization game, turn-based. Is it a turn-based game?
Yes. Well, sort of. Yeah. It's not. Wait, is it turn-based? I played it on stream a couple of weeks ago when the movie came out, and I would say it's like a strategy game like that, but is it turn-based? I forgot if things were happening in real time or it's turn by turn. I don't remember. I wasn't a big Dune. I wasn't a big Dune 2 guy back in the day, but I played it recently, and it's RTS like. Thank you, Arcade Ages. Yeah, like real time.
Are you doing any turn-based games on your channel?
Not really. I don't do too many of the turn-based games.
Okay.
I wasn't a big dungeon crawler guy either, but I've played some dungeon crawlers recently. I wasn't a big dungeon crawler guy. You know what's cool? It's Rogue. There's a new game coming out called Roguecraft. It's a roguelike game. That game's really cool. I played it on my stream a couple of weeks ago. Roguecraft is very, very cool.
What's that like?
It's isometric, and
Okay.
you're in a dungeon, and it's sort
Okay.
of turn-based. It's sort of turn-based. You move, then the monster moves, and the idea is that it's easy to pick up and play, and you can actually get through it. And in an like he said, the average game will be like an hour, but if you're really good at it, you can go through it quick. But yeah, it's cool. It's turn-based, and then you pick up like health, and it's a turn-based against more. You get health and strength, and then it increases your chances of killing the monsters, and then you need a key to get out of the dungeon to the next level. It's pretty cool.
That's cool. Is there anything like Diablo on the Amiga that you know of?
People say that Roadcraft reminds them of Diablo, but
Oh,
yeah. But Diablo's cool. That was a PC game. I used to play it on PC. Diablo's cool. I like Diablo. But I never played anything else like Diablo on the Amiga. But people say that Roadcraft gives them Diablo vibes. But I know
Roadcraft. Okay, now,
Roadcraft is coming out from Badger Punch Games.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
coming soon. Their pre-orders are open this month. The pre-orders stop on after midnight, July 31st. It's going to be a good one.
So yeah, I guess we can Google Roadcraft,
Yeah,
right?
Badger
Yeah,
Punch Games.
Badger Punch game. Exciting. I mean,
Yeah.
again, unless anybody has any questions, I really wanted to take a deep dive and just hear what your thoughts are on what's new and what's old, and really a pleasure having you on. And maybe we can have you on again next time, or some other time, next year, or not too long, but maybe we can follow up again. I mean, it's incredible. I learned a
Oh,
lot,
thanks.
and I might have to employ an AI tool to strip all the titles from this, and go through a lot of these titles and projects. Yeah,
Just
I
let
don't
me
know what to
know.
say. It's great.
Just let me know. I can let you know. Tell you some of these titles and stuff. And because the funny thing is, I don't consider myself like an Amiga expert at all. I'm just someone who loves it, and I try and stay tapped into the new things that are happening. But I'm not like there's so many folks that know more about the Amiga than me. I'm just kind of like I'm actually like what I consider I'm actually like a broadcaster, a filmmaker, and Amiga is my subject. That's kind of how it goes for me. Um, that's kind of like at the core, I'm really someone who likes to broadcast, and at the end of the day, I like to entertain people. It's weird that like I never was on camera before until I did this. I like to entertain
Yeah.
people by making videos that I'm not in. But then when I started with Anthony, I started going on camera and then the streams. So, but it doesn't matter. Like I'm entertaining as long as I'm entertaining people, whether I'm on the camera or not. And Amiga is my favorite subject to use. Amiga's my
Awesome.
muse. Amiga's my muse.
It is. And Jeff asks, what are your plans to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the 1000?
That's a good. Well, hopefully something at VCF East. That's so I hope we have something cool at VCF East, and I'll help out with that any way I can. And that's plan number one. And then plan number two would be to go to the event in Germany. That's going to be the biggest one in the world. So
Really?
those are my two plans. And maybe I would love to. I mean, I feel bad. I've never been to Ami West, so I think Ami West will be good this year. Or it's good every year, but next year especially because out in California, and they'll get some great people out there. And the Kickstart, the one that Robbie Abbott does now in the UK, that's going to be a good one next year. I think there's going to be a lot of Amiga 40 events around. I bet there'll be a Kickstart again. There'll be Amiga Germany again. I don't know if the Dutch guys will do. They had a big Amiga 30 in Holland. That was really cool. I don't know if they'll do a 40 or not, but yeah, there's going to be some really cool stuff. So I'll try and do what I can at VCF East, and then just go hang out at the other ones.
Exciting. Yeah. Hopefully somebody has a cake made to form into an Amiga,
A boing ball cake. You got
Yeah.
it.
There you
My
go.
wife's good. My wife makes vegan cakes, so she can make a boing
Oh,
ball cake
yeah.
for us. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Exciting. Well, thank
Yeah, it's
you, Bill.
crazy.
Thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure. It's been a long time. It was worth it. You know, I kept asking you. I didn't give up over the years, 4 or 5 years. I didn't give up, right? And I was
No,
like,
you were
oh man,
great.
Is Bill gonna think I'm annoying? But I just was gently just like, hey, how's it going? Can we do it? No, no, yep, yep. And then we snagged you. But yeah, it was great.
It's great to
Uh,
be on TPUG. And if any of your folks in TPUG, being that you're in the same time zone, that's very helpful because our Westchester Amiga user group meets at 7 o'clock, just like we did today. So if you or anyone wants to come to our virtual WUG meetings, I try and do them on the first Thursday of every month, but it depends on my work schedule. So it's a bit of a moving target. And but if everyone wants to get on we have a mailing list. We got like a Google mailing list. That's how we organize ourselves, if you call it organized. But I can add anyone in
yeah,
TPUG who wants
please
to be on
let
our
me
list.
know, let
Yeah.
us know when you have your Westchester group meeting next.
The next one is in 2 weeks. It's kind of basically at my place, so that's in person, and then we'll have it's usually the first Thursday of the month, but it varies. I try to make it the first Thursday of the month, but my target I'm probably like 50-50 on that at best.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Bill, so much.
Oh,
Amiga Bill,
yeah, Doc, thanks for having me. It's an honor. Like I said, it's an honor.
my
I've been a
pleasure.
huge fan of TPUG because I started WOG back in 1988, so we were an official Commodore user group, and so I would get the Commodore magazines that listed all the user groups, and I always saw TPUG. You guys were the oldest, so the fact that I get to hang out with you is really cool, and it means a lot to me.
No, it's our pleasure to have you on.
Well, the Commodore, come on, that's amazing show. I gotta get up there one day.
You got to come up sometime, yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to come to Chicago sometime. Have you ever been to Vintage Computer Festival Midwest?
No, I heard it's awesome though. Greg of Florida goes there. D Mackey goes there. Anthony went there last year, and they're like, "Dude, it's amazing. You gotta go." Mike Lee is he's a good friend. He helped with Viva Amiga. Like I think all the Amigas except for the 500 in that movie are from Mike Lee.
Yeah, yeah, you should come out. Definitely. We got to hang out and talk more.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna spend some time trying to get some workbenches this year. I need to get some backup copies on floppy because I already have a workbench that's corrupted, and I have a couple discs left. So, see, this
Well,
is the dilemma, Amiga Bill.
yeah, I know the floppies. There's nothing like that sound of popping in a floppy. Oh man, I love it. But man, it's tough to preserve this stuff. I'm just lucky that I have such a collection of blank floppies. I'm lucky because no one's making new ones anymore. So scary stuff. I mean, that's floppies, man. They're gonna be a
You
thing of the
still
past.
have some floppies that are shrink wrapped.
They are not shrink wrapped. No, I don't have any shrink wrapped floppies, but I've got
But they're new.
they're sort of new. Thanks, brother Bill. What's up, dude? Yeah, yeah, definitely. So yeah, the other thing that's great is like if you have any questions, just reach out to me. The Amiga community is so helpful. Like everyone's so helpful, and they're so like they all love Amiga so much. They just want to share it with everyone. So if I can't help you, if I don't know something, I can put you in touch with someone who does, and
Yeah,
they'll be
I know
they'll
we
be
were gonna
stoked.
end. I know we were gonna end, but if you have a minute or so, yeah, where do I get like workbench floppies? Like 1.2
I mean,
or one.
I would download an ADF and then make your own. That's what I would get the ADF and make your own. I don't know where you can buy it. I mean, do you want new workbench floppies or old ones? Like
as long as they work.
Workbench 3.2 floppies, you get them from new Amiga stores. Like I got mine from Retro Passion. There's a Amiga store, throughout the world, mostly in Europe, and they sell like the new version of Amiga OS, and you can get them on floppy. But if you want the old stuff, like 1.3, it's probably eBay or just download the ADF and make your own. It's very easy to make an Amiga floppy from an ADF.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
Photon. There's Photon. Just said you can buy the new from the Amiga stores
Grease
license. Like
Weasel. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
the new one, the new version. I don't know if you can. I guess you could buy 1.3 new. I don't know. I never tried. I bought. Like I said, I bought all the like 3.1 and 3.2. I bought from Amiga stores. But they if you want 1.3, I usually just make them from ADF. And also, even the new versions of Amiga OS, you can you get the ADF, and you can still make your own if you don't buy the actual floppies. Legally,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm talking legally. Yeah, like you
right.
legally buy it, they give you the ADF, and then you can make your own floppies.
Yeah, I've heard of Grease Weasel. That's a great option.
Grease Weasel is great. I use something called Easy ADF, and another one
Oh,
called ADFer. ADFer is a good one. It's simple. My friend Rob Cranley made it. He's amazing data. It's the same guy that made the LED lights in my Amiga. ADFer.
ADFer, it's software.
So simple. Yeah, it's simple. It's just like ADF file, put it. I got a floppy disk and DF0 go, and then vice versa. Like make ADF from DF0 done. Super simple.
Is
ADFer.
this available online? ADFer?
Aminet. I think it's on Aminet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I gotta write that down.
ADFer.
And you have to have a external floppy on your PC, right?
No, you do this on the Amiga.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think Rob might have just made something where you could just do it without the Grease Weasel on the. I don't know. I just do it on my real Amiga. I bring the ADF file over to my 1200 or 500, and then I have an external floppy drive, and I make it
Yeah.
that way. Yeah.
Yeah, in order for me to accomplish this, I'd have to get an external or GoTech, right? Unless I get an external floppy for a PC and then format it for Amiga, right?
Yeah, that's I never made an Amiga floppy on a PC, believe it or not. I've only used the Amiga. Wait, what Amiga do you have? You have a 500?
Yeah.
So
And
if you get
I've
that,
got a 4000 that I'm starting to repair.
okay, great, you'll be fine then. But with that 500, I would get that ACA 500 plus. It's amazing, and then you could make those ADFs with ease as long as you have a real floppy drive, obviously.
Vinny G, so what was yours? What did you just say again, Bill?
ACA 500 plus.
ACA 500 plus.
Yeah, from individual computers.
From individual.
You'll love it. It's amazing.
I have to check that out.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's great.
Vinny G says drawbridge is the PC ADF interface.
Oh, drawbridge, got it. Oh yeah, and Greg said that he and Anthony used the thing that Rob's another guy in the community is amazing, and they mounted a real Amiga floppy in Windows. That's cool.
With drawbridge?
No, it's Rob, this guy, this crazy mad scientist who made that floating bowling ball over there. he's got a new system going right now he's trying to make it easier to interface Amiga with Windows.
Okay, please
But
connect.
I never used drawbridge before.
And then Jessica says, get a GoTech. Thank you, Jessica.
GoTechs are great.
Jessica,
They're great.
Jessica had her Amiga at Chicago last year and had a GoTech. Jessica, was it a 8-1200 you had?
Yeah, I think on Saturday I showed my
800.
500, and on Sunday I had the 1200 out. But I don't like replacing the internal drive with the GoTech. I like to do it external. So I guess my advice would be to connect it as an external drive, and then you could just write the floppy.
Okay.
Yeah, you can get that Go drive. It's called the Go drive, and that lets you that lets you keep your original floppy disk inside. It's really cool. Or you can use it as a GoTech basically. And it mounts nice. Like you see, I had my OLED mounted on my 1200. It mounts like that, and it's got the little dial on it. You can choose your ADF file.
Has some of these options become difficult during the pandemic? Did, like for instance, with the Commodore 64, the Ultima, SD card reader, there were, backups with that, delays. Have we seen that with Amiga products?
There's definitely things were definitely messed up. I don't know about GoTech drives. I don't know how messed up they got, but I know but the Solus board I have in here, it's still basically delayed because of the pandemic, and then those all don't even they don't get started. It's a bit of a sore spot, but the A1200.net cases were heavily delayed with the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I felt bad for him. That was rough. ACA, but yeah, it is buying a new 1.3 discs is easy. Exactly, Photon. But yeah, the like Jessica said, the GoTech is great too, and I like having a. I agree. If you only have one Amiga, like having a real floppy drive and that solution together is the ultimate, because what we talked about before about keeping things original. There's something special about still having that floppy disk. I
Right.
agree totally.
That's why I want to boot. I want to continue to boot my 500 with my floppy. You know, Vinny G posted a link, amiga.robsmithdev.co.uk. Same Rob?
That's Rob. That's the man, Rob Smith.
He the man?
He's the man. And he also
Okay.
makes a cool thing that you should know about. Actually, you guys need to get in it. It's called Retro Directory. So, and the idea is that wherever you travel in the world, you could find like the local retro club. You know, they have all different clubs. So TPUG needs to get onto Retro Directory, retro.directory. It's really good.
Okay.
And it's all map based, so you can like zoom in. So like even like barcades, he's got barcades on it. He's got user groups. He's got shops. It's TPUG should definitely be. I added VCF. I'm pretty to it. So and WUG.
That's Rob's drawbridge then.
Mm.
Yeah, retro.directory. TPUG is already on retro directory, Marcio says.
Oh, cool. You guys are on it. I guess I'm not seeing the chat. Oh, look at that. I have to scroll the chat. There we go. Oh yeah, there we go. Vinny is talking about the annual World of Commodore. Yeah, World of Commodore is really cool. There's the grease wheels. Now I see it all. Now I have to scroll.
Be aware, Ryan said, be aware you also need Amiga OS kick ROMs 2.0 plus to boot from an external floppy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to boot from a floppy, an external floppy. I just want, the floppy disk. Like I said, I have some. I just need to get some backups.
Drummer, you want a list of the? Oh, we need a list of all the things we talked about. Yeah, Drummer. I know. Maybe if the doctor does a little AI search for keywords.
Yeah, I'm going to use the AI, and then I can post it. Maybe I could post it on the TPUG group. So if you can announce to your people if they can join the TPUG group on Facebook, and I'll post that list there.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be cool. I follow you guys on Facebook. We didn't do Facebook just because there's some old schoolers in WUG who are like, nah, no Facebook now. So we're old school email.
Ryan said boot external GoTech is nice. Then you could write to your internal floppy if you have to go that way.
Yeah, that is nice.
Okay. It's probably a faster boot, huh? If it's from the external?
But no, the ADFs, the GoTechs are the same speed.
Okay.
Photon, you want me to go to World of Commodore 2024? It's not far. It's not that far. Toronto's easy. Photon does really great streams too. He's from Scoopix, demo group Scoopix.
Cool.
Awesome. I love classic. Come on. Him and Proton sent me the demos he did on the V4. I'm going to show him this week. They look really cool.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Where are they from? Country?
Proton's from a group called Finnish Gold and Complex, and Photon is from Scoopix. He's probably in some other groups too. Sweden. You're in Sweden. There you go.
Oh, they're waking up right now, huh? Or no?
No, they're drinking their coffee, trying to power through. It's amazing that you're here, Photon. I'm even semi-serious though. It's up to us and being progressive. Yeah, it is totally. You have to take the initiative. Exactly. You should have been in bed 4 hours ago. See, the Amiga fans are so dedicated. Amiga Cami, like I said, who gets up on a Monday morning at 5 a.m.? I'll tell you who. Amiga Cami does. It's the passion. It's the passion. I'm telling you, it's impressive.
Impressive. Yeah, it's the love. It's the power of love, as Huey Lewis said. How about, okay, so since you're still on, top 3 80s films.
Oh man. War Games came to mind. Ferris Bueller's Day Off came to mind.
Yes.
Let's see. Then the third one. Oh man. War Games, yeah, War Games, Ferris Bueller. I mean, I kind of want to go Tron, but War Games, Ferris Bueller. What else? I really liked Can't Buy Me Love. I love that one. It's silly. Patrick Dempsey. The thing is, after those, there's just so many. War Games, Can't Buy Me, War Games, Ferris Bueller. You know what? I'm gonna switch genres, and maybe I'll do like Nightmare on Elm Street, because I was a big horror fan when I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Empire Strikes Back, Dark Crystal, and Labyrinth. Empire. How could I not say Star Wars? All right, maybe Empire. I don't know. Indiana Jones. I mean, it's hard.
Maybe Empire, Bill. Are you serious?
I mean, I love Empire, but to be fair,
Empire?
Empire instead of Nightmare. It's a better movie. I mean, Empire. Come on,
Sure.
it doesn't get. look. I mean, you see, I got the AT-AT
Yeah.
up there. Come on now. Empire's a good one. I probably should have said Empire.
Ghostbusters?
I love Ghostbusters too. I love it, especially being from New York. You know, love Ghostbusters. There's too many good ones.
Have you ever
But
been
War
to
Games,
that?
War Games really sticks out. War Games is like, if I had to pick one, it'd maybe War Games.
Okay. Have you been to the fire station in New York? The
Oh yeah.
Ghostbuster? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you get a selfie there?
Oh, you know, I don't think I have actually.
Okay.
Back to the Future, yeah, Back to the Future is a great one.
Next time you
Worked
go
with-
to
worked
that,
with, Michael J. Fox recently.
Oh.
It was really cool. He was a really nice guy.
you met him?
Yeah, it's called Still. It's on Apple TV Plus.
Oh, okay.
Documentary. Yeah, he's really nice.
Was it amazing to meet him? Wow.
Yeah.
An icon.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
come on. I mean, like Back to the Future was so iconic. I mean, I remember seeing it in the theater. Was it incredible to meet him?
Absolutely incredible. Super nice guy, totally down to earth. Couldn't be nicer. Great dude. Short Circuit's a good one, Greg. Yeah.
Oh,
Number 5 still alive.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, anything Spielberg does is like, I mean, E.T., come on. It's so good. Spielberg is a master.
Bill, why is it that when I watch Breakfast Club, I laugh. I watched it the
It's
other
a
day
great movie.
again, and I just it was like eating a warm bowl of, dessert or something, like warm bowl of chocolate.
It's got a lot of heart. It's got a lot of soul. I think
Yeah.
was there like a recent anniversary? Because like it's on Netflix now. I think like I watched it on Netflix not too long ago. I'm like, wow, it's like Breakfast Club's making a comeback. I see a lot of stuff in my feed, a lot of shots of Breakfast Club too. I'm like, huh, I feel like Breakfast Club's making a comeback. Blade Runner, of course, dude. I freaking spent so much money. I've got Blade Runner on VHS. I got Blade Runner on Laserdisc. I got Blade Runner on DVD. I got the director's cut on laser. This cut, that cut. Blade Runner is amazing, and I don't care what the haters say. Blade Runner 2049 is amazing. I was so against it at the beginning. I'm like, come on, it was great. I watched it. I'm like, this is awesome. I love 2049. I loved it. It's great. I'm also a huge Roger Deakins fan. It's the 40th anniversary of Breakfast Club. Got it.
By the way, they just did a documentary with the Brat Pack. I haven't seen it. It's on my radar.
Oh, I know. Yeah. You know, that's a lot of people are watching that. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Proton. We're just talking about you. Thanks, Proton.
What about Alien? The original.
The original is so good. It's psychological. People call it a horror movie, but it's like a psychological movie.
A masterpiece.
Right? Masterpiece. Aliens, masterpiece. Alien is so good. Oh my god.
The
Alien is a psychological. It's not a horror movie. It's a psychological horror movie. It's yeah.
And what
Well,
about the
yeah, Lucas, you like
Batman? Remember Batman, the first
the
one?
original one, the 89,
Yeah.
1989 Tim Burton one.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I love about the movie? I love the spectacle of it because I remember I was just coming of age, like I was just coming of age, and it was, I think I was in 8th grade when it came
Yeah.
out, and it was just like, like you could like go to the movies with your friends at that age, and the Prince song was so good. I mean,
Batman.
yeah, I mean, I actually like my favorite Batman is actually the new one, the Batman. I love that. I love Greg Fraser and that movie. I love that movie. But that's such a good. The original, the 89 one's fantastic. Oh yeah, so I mean I love all the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. Come on, Commando, and
Oh,
I remember
Predator.
Total Recall. No, Total Recall and like the Running Man. I can't remember which one came out first. That was one of my first movie experiences like with a friend in the movie theater. So that yeah, the Running Man was. So I'll never forget Running Man. I'll never forget Spaceballs. Going to I remember the multiplex theater opened up and I went to see Spaceballs on like opening day and I got the poster and then the poster was like in my room for forever. Love Spaceballs. Oh, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Come on, that's probably that's another one I saw around that time too with my friends in the movie theater. I think I laughed harder at that movie than any other movie. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
That's a great movie.
Running Man was first. Okay, yeah, Running Man. That I never forget Running Man.
John Hughes is the best. Yeah, John Hughes is
Yeah,
the
John
best.
Hughes. Yeah, incredible. Spaceballs in New York. Nice, Greg. Multiplex in Hawthorne. You could have gotten the free poster.
What about
Mel
Star
Brooks.
Trek? Any love for the Trek?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, well, the Star Trek 4. I remember seeing that in the movie theaters, and my dad used to watch Star Trek. I remember. I did like Star Trek. I liked it, but I was more of an action kid, so I was more of a Star Wars kid. But I like Star Trek more as I got older because I could appreciate it more.
Do we have any Star Trek titles on the Amiga?
Do you know what I remember? There's a great Star Trek demo on the Amiga. Great Star Trek demo. And I can't,
Oh,
I've got it somewhere. It's a fantastic demo. That's what I think of. But Star Trek games, I haven't, there may be, I haven't played any. I'm sure there is. Yeah, 80s love photon, exactly. What's up, Peter? Wrath of Khan was really good, exactly. Your first computer was a pet Proton? Oh, I never had a pet, but if I had to put a retro computer in a movie, I think the pet would be my choice because I think the pet is the coolest looking retro computer. I think it's the coolest looking. I love the look of the pet. And actually last year at Long Island Retro, they had a pet. Long Island Retro takes place in a museum of aviation, space and aviation. It's like a mini Smithsonian. And they had a Commodore pet next to the moon lander. And I was like, it's so perfect. It's so good. I love the pet. That guy and Mike's Vintage Tech, the way he puts like he'll put like an Amiga inside of a pet, or he'll put like a modern PC inside of a pet. It's pretty cool projects. I love weird science. Love weird science. Weird science and wait, what's the Real Genius? I love Real Genius. Everybody wants to rule the world. Val Kilmer living in the closet. It's so good. Val Kilmer is popping out of the closet every now and then. Oh man, I love it. I love Real Genius.
Do you like Tears for Fears?
Oh, I love Tears for Fears.
Right.
Love Tears for Fears.
Mad World.
Yep. And Everyone Wants to Rule the World. I think it's my favorite.
Yeah.
Just because of that movie too, with the popcorn, the laser, and the popcorn. It's so good. They don't make movies like the 80s anymore, man. That was fun. They make fun movies. People don't have as much fun anymore. Thanks, Musso John.
What about Top Gun? Are you a Top Gun fan?
Dude, are you kidding
Oh
me?
my God.
I actually, to be fair, the movie I replay most right now is Maverick because I just get fired up. I wish the opening scene was longer, but I love the original, love the new one, love Top Gun.
Bill, I was very skeptical of the new one.
Mm-hmm.
I was very skeptical. I was blown away.
It's ridiculous.
I saw it in the theater. Have you seen the split image? Somebody on YouTube did a split image of the original Top Gun. Okay, like look, like original Top Gun on the top, the new one on the bottom, frame by frame, second by second, and the cinematography was so accurate that it it's hard to think that you're looking at a different movie. Bruckheimer was so genius that he wanted the second film to look like the first. I don't know how he did it.
That's amazing. Yeah, and
How
Tony Scott.
explain it?
Yeah,
You're
I
in
think
the
Joseph.
industry.
I think Joseph Kaczynski is really talented too. I thought his new Tron was really good. I like. I mean, to be fair, the Daft Punk soundtrack was half the reason why it was good. But it was cool. Like Kaczynski's not bad. I like his, and Claudio Miranda, who shot it, did a great job. He did the cinematography. That's why it looks so good. He did Tron and Maverick, and it's really cool. The Daft Punk soundtrack is probably the best part of the movie.
Okay, it reminds me, I booted up a 14 simulator on my Amiga 500 recently. Remember
wait,
that?
sorry, I was reading the Beverly Hills Cop. There's a new Beverly Hills Cop out. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Willow's a good one. Yeah, Tobias Richter did the Star Trek game, but what's maybe Photon or Proton knows. There's a great. I think I have it. I've got it on floppy somewhere. It's a Star Trek demo on the Amiga 500. And they really knock it out of the park. I love that demo. Yeah, the other thing is another demo that blew me away on the Amiga. It wasn't necessarily a great demo, but it was a Pink Floyd demo. It was Pink Floyd The Wall. It came on 7 floppy disks, and I had never heard Pink Floyd before. I mean, I heard like Another Brick in the Wall Part 2. That's what they played on MTV, and I was like, all right, cool. But then when I saw that Pink Floyd demo on the Amiga, I fell in love, man. I fell in love, and they became my favorite band. And then I became a crazy Pink Floyd fan because of the Amiga demo.
So it was on the Amiga.
Because of the Amiga, that's how I got my introduction to Floyd.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we didn't get a lot of demos here. It was always like, they seeped through from Europe every now and then. WizKids, I never saw WizKids Proton. That Pink Floyd demo, the Star Trek demo, of course, Juggler demo. If it's not really a demo, but the Juggler is so classic. There's some of those early demos were really, really cool. Nice, Muso John. Yeah, 80s movies, I love it, and 80s music. My wife loves 80s music. She's like, they don't make music like this anymore.
It's true. What are some of your favorite bands aside from Tears for Fears?
Oh, Pink Floyd for sure, but I know they're not really 80s, but I love the broad spectrum of music and 80s music. I don't know, I can't even think of there's so many good 80s. I loved like Van Halen. I loved like Quiet Riot. I loved all Dokken. I was a rock kid. I liked a lot of rock.
Def Leppard? Come on.
Love Def Leppard. Love it. Love Bites still sends chills down my spine. I've got Hair Nation's great. I'm serious. Exactly. I have a big vinyl collector too. Beastie Boys, come on. I love the Beastie Boys. License to Ill. Beasties are great.
What about Kraftwerk?
Oh, Kraftwerk. Yeah, Kraftwerk's incredible. Incredible. They're, electronic pioneers.
Yep, they're
So
my
good.
favorite. Do you know of any demos that pay homage to Kraftwerk on the Amiga?
Proton and Vangelis and John Michael Jolly, yeah. Proton and Photon would know better than me. But my friend Kevin Saunders from Australia, he's an amazing Amiga artist. He's doing he did the visuals for a lot of Amiga games. He's doing one right now called Boss Machine. That looks amazing. He did a Kraftwerk demo for the Amiga Art Contest a couple years ago, and that's phenomenal. Phenomenal. Dokken, Proton's big. I love Dokken. Dream Warriors, Nightmare on Elm Street 3. It's so good. There's strangely no Kraftwerk, but some Vangelis and Jari like. Interesting. Yeah, the only Kraftwerk I can think of is the one that Kevin Saunders put together for the Amiga Art Contest. He did it with brilliance. It's not really a demo. It's really a video, but it plays kind of like a demo, and he does amazing stuff with the program called Brilliance, the painting program. He's brilliant with brilliance.
Really?
White's Ozzy. Oh yeah, the Beastie Boys documentary is really good. Star Trek 25th anniversary for the 500. Oh, thanks, David. Yeah, Whitesnake. Here I go again on my own. To your career. Ozzy, Blizzard of Oz. I love Ozzy. I'm a big vinyl collector too. I got a lot of my records. Twisted Sister. I love Twisted Sister. Dee Schneider, so good. Oh, I was playing my Twisted Sister records the other day. Leader of the Pack is so good. I Want to Rock. Oh man, I think of music videos.
I saw Duran Duran last year. They were great.
Oh, cool.
They were fabulous.
Yeah, I can imagine. Duran Duran's amazing. Even like
And so,
the 80s pop music, even some of the like the quote cheesy stuff is good. Your bachelor party was held in the retro directory. That's awesome. We went to I had a friend, Anthony and I, we have a mutual friend, John. He's actually my friend first. He was in my dad's class. His bachelor party was at Barcade. It was a good time.
oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, David saw Kraftwerk. Well, what city? I didn't think they came to the U.S. this year. I saw Kraftwerk last year.
Ooh, nice, Lucas. The Cult Love, very, very cool.
Nice.
I'm still missing some of my Maiden. I love Iron Maiden. Somewhere in Time, so good. That's one of my favorite albums. The artwork on the album is incredible.
Yeah.
I've never seen Kraftwerk live.
Yeah, I've seen them 5 times.
Yeah, they're incredible.
Saw them in Cincinnati. If I knew they were coming to Cincinnati this year, I would have been there.
So Doc,
Deep,
you're not in Toronto. You're what part of the world are you in?
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Oh, I've got the Up Down Arcade in Minneapolis. Love it.
Yeah, up down. Okay.
You know how I found the Up Down? I was doing the first time I was in Minnesota. Maybe not the first time, but I got into my hotel room and I didn't have to work until the next day. And I just I was like, all right, I'm gonna take a shower, put on the TV, and the news was on, and it was just kind of like in the background, and the news reporter comes on, and they're like, there was just a shooting outside the Up Down Arcade. And I was like, arcade? I'm there. And I literally I went. I was like, I don't care. I'm from New York. I could take it. And I love the Up Down Arcade. It's so good. I love it. That's another thing I would love to do. I love to, whenever I travel for work, I always find a local arcade. I always do it. Always. And everywhere I go, there's a lot of arcades. Like you can find them.
Call me next time you come into town.
Yeah.
You know?
The Up Down rocks. I think that's my favorite, to be honest. I've been to a lot of arcades, by the way, a lot. The Up Down is like my favorite of the modern barcades. I just something about it. I love that the roof. Oh, it's so good. It's fantastic.
That's cool.
Yeah, I love it. I gotta see Kraftwerk, Carbo. I know. John Michael Jarre is amazing. Oh, you know what? Like speaking about like Amiga stuff and 80s music.
Yeah.
I'll never forget, and movies. It all kind of comes together. I'll never forget there was this it might have been sponsored by Amiga World magazine from what I remember. And it was a collection of Amiga animation. And it played at the Angelica Film Center in New York City, which is amazing. So I was like, wow, I get to like see Amiga stuff like on the big screen. I'll never forget that. It was down at the Angelica, and it was a lot of I feel like there was John Michael Jarre music that was used in some of the animations. There had to have been. And it was just it was one of those things.
I love Jarre.
Yeah, he's so good.
Jarre.
But it's just that's one of my favorite memories is like going down to the Angelica and looking at that and the Amiga animation collection. It was really cool. And that's another thing folks always talk about was like, oh, like how like Amiga popularity in Europe versus the USA. Because that's another topic that comes up a lot. But we had that. I just thought of that. I forgot. I haven't had that thought in, I don't know, 15 years. I think 15 years ago was the last time I got nostalgic about that movie going experience. Oh man, my nostalgia is nostalgia.
That reminds me of whatever happened to the preservation project of the Warhol diskettes. Do you remember this? They found Warhol's Amiga 500 discs, and they were preserving them at, I assume, the Warhol Foundation. Have we heard anything about the preservation project?
I haven't heard anything since. I know Carnegie Mellon preserved them, and they did some controversial things as well with his Amiga 1000. They gutted his monitor and they gutted it. Yeah, they gutted it. Well, but apparently it was like one of his Amiga 1000s, which made me feel a little bit better. But they gutted it and they put it on at the Andy Warhol Museum in Pittsburgh, and then it traveled around the country. But I'm pretty sure, yeah, you know what I did find out too? There's another great artist from New York. Doc, my brain stops. I had a long day today. My brain stops working. Oh my God, why can't I did a whole thing about it on my stream. Tangerine Dream's amazing. Wait, I was there. Oh yeah, the real Tony Rocks is from Pittsburgh. He was at the Andy Warhol one. No, there's the artist. I'll think of it in a second. He's such a famous New York artist. Anyway, I didn't realize this, but apparently, I literally I'm like my brain just like stops working. Timothy Leary was a big Amiga fan. And he gave Andy Warhol. That's how Andy Warhol got his Amiga. He got it from Timothy Leary, and then Timothy Leary also gave it to I can't believe I can't not Basquiat. Very close to Basquiat. The guy he does all his work that it has lines that don't connect. They all connect. Crack is whack. Crack is whack. Hold on, let me Google crack is whack. I see it all the time. Crack is whack.
Gerhard Richter?
No. Crack is W-A-C-K. Crack is whack. Keith Haring. So Timothy Leary gave Keith Haring and Andy Warhol their Amigas. and recently Keith Haring's it was 3 or 4 pieces of artwork, and Christie's auctioned them off. And they were NFTs as well. It was crazy. I never knew Keith Haring worked with the Amiga before.
Wow.
And it was wild. I did take a selfie. I came out of work. I was working at 30 Rock, and I came out of 30 Rock, and then like there's Christie's like right in front, because like right outside 30 Rock, and there was the Keith Haring Amiga artwork like all blown up in the window. I was like, whoa, it's trippy. It's trippy to like walk out of 30 Rock and there's like Amiga artwork on the street. It was really cool. Amazing. It was really, really cool. Yeah, and I never knew Timothy Leary was into the Amiga, and I didn't know that's how Warhol got it. I had no idea. And that's how. But when I read the articles about Keith Haring, that's when they talked about Timothy Leary and Andy Warhol.
Awesome, AmigaBill. We'll let you get some rest. It's been a long day. Thank you. Thank you so much for your passion, for your time. You know, sorry about the mix-up before, but we got it accomplished, and we're really grateful for you in this community. So thank you.
Oh, that means a lot. I'm really grateful to everyone else. Like, I have just as much fun doing it as you guys watching it. Like I say, like it's when I get together with the Sunday Fun Days, it's like hanging out with my friends, and then the Westchester Amiga user group is all just like hanging out with my friends, and all those people mean a lot to me. So I'm really grateful for all of you guys and all of them, you know, very grateful.
Thank you, my brother. Much love.
Sure, definitely. Thank you so much. It's an honor. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I hope, thanks to everyone who stayed around. Appreciate it. That's awesome.
Good night.
All right. Good night, Doc. Good night, Jeff.
Lucas,
Ryan, David, Vinny G, Jessica. Awesome. Thanks for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. I'm not an old school. I'm not RJ Michael or Dave Haney. I'm just a fan. I'm just a fan. Cheers. Awesome. I see Muso John, the real Tony Rocks, Corbo, Photon, all the folks over there on Twitch. You guys rock. Oh man, it's great. Drummer. Awesome. All right, thanks, Doc.
Thank you, AmigaBill.
Take care. Have a good one. Keep up the great work with TPUG too.